Mr. Goff, again, thank you for attending our session today. And with that, we are in Office of Veterans Affairs. Senator Wampat.
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gofigan, can you give us the dollar amount of what exactly you'll be realizing with the cuts?
257,452.
Yes, but minus, what's the actual reduction?
It's about 6,600.
6,600. And how many employees do you have?
We have a total of 4 employees.
Including yourself?
5.
Okay. Okay, and do you have any vacancies?
None. I'm at the
Unfunded vacancies or funded vacancies?
the only vacancy is administrative position. We haven't announced that yet. I'm still there as an acting.
Oh, the administrator's
Yeah.
position.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you intend to make up for this shortfall?
Well, we took some measures in the office to cut down utilities. We looked at eliminating one of the telephone lines in the office, and the aircon's only on in areas where it's occupied and the clients can be served, which is the first floor and my office and one of the other office. The aircon in the central area within the second floor is off, and everything's off by like 4 o'clock, because by that time it's cooler. So the aircon the coolness could last a little longer than that. So by 4 o'clock the aircon's off.
So you've done some calculations then by making these cuts that within 6 months that would actually total to
About
6,000?
6, yes. And that's also limiting the copying machines and supplies. Papers, we used the other side also for the copying papers. We average, just we've gone through almost 60,000 reams of paper. 60 reams of paper in our office. And we're limiting our supplies. We cut down supplies and utilities, and also the uses of the vehicle and functions.
You know, Mr. Chairman, in at least in my observation, since we've started, looking at how departments and agencies are making up to cope with this a shortage, a shortfall, in monies, and everything so far that we've heard are nothing new at all. But does it have to take something like this for the government to ever now say that, yeah, for Xeroxing, we're going to use the other site now? Why haven't we been even doing that for years? And these could have been savings. Why isn't it that we're not cutting air cons after we leave the building? And and do we need to have 5 phones, one for every person, when maybe 1 line or 2 lines and then extensions throughout? I mean, so sometimes I think that this whole idea of the way the government is going to be a wake-up call, and a good thing, I think, now for us to finally get back to basics, to not be as wasteful or spendthrift, as we have been as a society. So, I mean, thank you for making, of course, all those cuts in your own department to live within your own budget. But I think maybe now in the next budget, this is something for us to seriously look at for 08. Fred, I want to ask you one more question. You have not, everyone that you have, the 4 employees that you have been with you and your agency since the beginning of January?
Of this year, yes.
Yes, okay. So, and you haven't had any new hires?
No.
At all? So they've been there with you since January, or even since last year, really?
Yes, we've done things to with our office. For example, we've implemented case management, where the veterans will come in on appointments. We call them before if you get any communications, call in our office for appointments. That way, our staff and are limited to just staying at 5 o'clock, and if they want to stay beyond, the aircon's still off. And last year, I was just sharing with the chairman, Mr. Calvo, that last year our office alone brought in close to brought in $34,589,000
Brought in?
brought into the island in veterans. Veterans.
In veterans benefits.
Veterans benefits for disabilities is $23,496,000. For home loans, for veterans home loans, that's veterans and active duty, $11 million last year. That came into the island.
Where are you located?
We're located down in Assen.
Where?
Assen?
In Essen. And what is your office doing to assist the veterans with medical treatment? And especially, I understand that for going off island, they used to be able to their airfare was being paid, and now I understand that they're not being paid anymore.
Well, if you're retired, there's just three classes. You have the active duty, you have the retirees, and those are known as veterans who served in the military but did not retire. For those who are retirees, we encourage them to come in, and if they have any disabilities, to claim for those disabilities. And if you're 30% and above, and you're sick because of that ailment, the disability you encounter in the service, then the VA will pay for your airfare. But if the retirees don't want to claim, then because of the policy that Department of Defense has implemented, then they would have to pay their own way.
Is this the only money that you've received for your operations, for your agency, or do you also get any federal funds or
There's no
grants?
federal. Everything is local funds. This office was created. If all these veterans, if this office were not created, and there's nobody to represent them against the claims to the VA, all these veterans would become a problem with the state or the territory. They would go under MIP and become a part of a burden of the general fund. But with our office there and claiming on their behalf and getting the awards and the things they need, then that becomes a problem with the VA. So we shifted some of the veterans that's under MIP over to become fully independent now because of the disabilities they've had. We had two homeless veterans. They were living in the park. We brought them in, processed everything, and within 3-4 months, they have pension, which is about $900, and they're up at Gura. So now, and we continue, we give them pension. We request for them to be placed on their pension because they had served within that era of war. So when their disability starts, if it's above 50%, then the VA will give them the higher of the two. So a person with 100% disabilities is about $2,300 a month.
I applaud you for that. I think it's really great, especially the individuals who, like you said, were homeless and you were able to assist them. But I'm just wondering whether, because the amount from the general fund may not be sufficient, whether there are other forms of monies that can assist, your office. That's why I was asking if there are other grants that you can avail yourself to. This is nothing even throughout the United States. If they have an office like this that can get some assistance in the federal monies to assist the office.
Yeah.
Not at all. Do you suppose we can get a copy also of just the benefits that you have just stated to the chairperson also and the
Yes.
members here? Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Gofigan.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator Wampat. Senior Senator Mpinko.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to applaud the Veterans Office here because it's true. As far as the veterans benefits, ever since the legislature actually, funded them, it used to be only a two-man operation, and Ben Guerrero right now is on his own, and he's doing a tremendous job as a service representative. And now that we beef up the Guam Veterans Office, we have 4 people down there, right? Right now that are continuously working, even after 5 o'clock in the evening. And the point here is that the Veterans Office really is reaching out island-wide. And the amount of money that we're getting because of people, our veterans are benefiting, is more than enough to justify the budget that they're requesting. Unfortunately, of course, you have 6,600 reduction in your budget. Can you live with this?
We could live within this means.
Huh?
Yes, we could.
Okay, and what I know that it may be a small amount, but the point is that you need a lot of things. The veterans who come there with about maybe 3-4 inches thick of documents that would have to be Xerox, and then your office would have to be the one to actually transmit them over to Honolulu.
Yes.
And so, are you talking in terms of cutting down the amount of copying machines that you have down there? Like copying papers, Xerox, or whatever.
No, we'll still continue providing the copying services. We cannot. Our goal is to continue our track record and with the service for the veterans. There's other ways of us getting supplies that would not harm the general fund.
Well, Fred, I'm glad that you're able to live within your means. However, there's a lot of other things that perhaps the Veterans Office might address as well. What can you just tell us the status of the chapel down at the Veteran Cemetery?
Right now, the chapel, I'm putting together the scope of work, and that's going to be given to Larry. We've looked for the plans for the chapel. We couldn't locate the plans between the military and Parks and Rec. We could not locate the floor plans. So I've been working on the scope of work that's supposed to be submitted to Larry by today. And I believe there's going to be money from the governor requested that money be set aside from the Department of Interior, funds from the Department of Interior for the chapel.
I think you can also look into GURA or Community Development Grant. That might probably help out in terms of upgrading really the veterans chapel down there. There's a lot of denomination on this island other than the Catholic faith, and a lot of them are requesting the need of the chapel because it's non-denominational. And so it'd be nice if that part would be addressed. Anyway, I continue to do the good work and continue to actually outreach to the veterans of our island. They are in desperate need, and that's you have done even though you may not be a veteran, but your heart is in the veteran, and so I really commend you and continue to do a good job.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senior Senator. Senator Tina Mooney Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and gentlemen. Good morning. Thank you for being with us this morning again. Just maybe a matter of clarification, or maybe just an elaboration of what the different veterans offices does here on Guam. You just spoke to my senior colleague from Inaran, saying that your offices are located in Asan now, and I know that was just recently moved over from Tizan. Am I right?
Correct.
And the Veterans Office from the Reflection Center, and that's a federally funded program, am I right?
Yes, it's a federal office.
It's a federal office. Is there a relationship? Can you explain if there's any relationship between the two offices, and do they service the same clients, the veterans that are here on Guam? Is there a duplication of services, or is there differences that you can explain in reference to that detail?
Yes. With Honolulu is the region office. The benefits counselor there is just a branch. It's a one-man team that's from Honolulu that's stationed here. And as far as the reflection center, you have the counseling area, which is with Kathy Alarmo, Chris Regis, and I think Bob Morton. They do post-traumatic stress counseling, and those are for combat veterans. So they're a different entity also, but it's federally funded. So everything in reflection is federally funded. It's a federal program that's there. So what we do, our office is separate because we represent the state. We're part of the state. The claims that the veterans here they come to our office, and the state represents them in their claims against the VA. So, like Mr. Larson there, majority of his work is with fiduciary. In other words, if a veteran is unable to handle his income that he was awarded, what he does is a custodian is given to a family member. So what he does, he goes there and he inspects and meets with the family to make sure that everything's according to law and that the veteran is properly taken care of and that the money's not misused at all.
Also, there was a mention of Mr. Guerrero, who was a former veteran administrator, who continues to work with applications from the veterans here. Is there a correlation or an affiliation that you both work together?
He does a similar. All he handles is the claims process. He could represent. He has a power of attorney with the military of the Purple Heart to process, assist and process the veterans' claims and represent them if they need representation. So he handles partial of the veterans there, but he's a one-man team. So you're basically at his availability, where our office does the same thing, but we do governmental functions like presenting the claims and justifying for burial, and also for driver's license and license plates. So there is a separate. We handle all the different government benefits.
So Mr. Guerrero is not receiving any funds from your agency?
No.
He does that on his...
He receives funding from Military of the Purple Heart National. As far as how much, I do not know. But that's just to operate.
If a lot of the claims from the veterans are received there, in any way, do they get channeled into your area for further facilitation to the federal government, or is it just completely separate from the other?
See, if we have what you call a POA, it's a power of attorney. And our office, Guam Veterans Affairs Office, has a power of attorney. So does the other organizations, if the veteran himself elects to have other organizations represent them. And they are separate for us just on the claims process. In other words, I can't call in and inquire on the status of Ms. Guerrero's clients for MOPH or soon-to-be Department of DAV, Disabled American Veterans, or American Legions. I cannot do that. Only those who come into our office for services. But we provide other services offered by this legislature or this government.
And also, Phil, if one more, if I may, when an application comes in or a veteran comes in for application, is the timeline between services rendered to application time, what kind of time frame do you look at for each veteran?
It depends on the veterans themselves.
Again,
It depends on the veteran.
okay.
If in the past, the veterans would come in before we took over and we have case management and new staff there, a veteran would come in, submit his application, and it's sent off. The message is wait till the VA comes, communicates with you. 2-3 years down the line or a year later, he receives a communication, your case is closed. We no longer do that there. What we've done, we took the proactive way. So when I was stationed there or assigned there, I looked at all the communications came in per veteran. And we noticed that every veteran asks for every certain document. Marriage license, birth certificate, social security number. So what we did, we put a things to do list and a checklist. And it says, okay, you go and get these documents. The VA has 1 year to ask you for all these documents. Why wait for a year? Go and get it now.
Okay.
And when the veterans take active role and they go to that, we even provide, because some of them are elderly, what we do is provide a box. You have this document, check. Then you go for the next document down. So by following that process and taking active role in the claims process, they're done within 6 months, sometimes 4 months. I mean, we had those who are done in 30 days. And these are like Wake Island defenders, World War II veterans. If they have the documents, it's done quick. And we communicate weekly with them. And that's through the efforts of the governor, Senator Pinko, and everybody who has interest in the Veterans Affairs and the veterans. We came in together and we went in as a team to get these things going. We went to Washington, D.C., we went to Honolulu as a team, and so is Congresswoman Berdalio. And through that, we have all these results. So if they follow the things to do list, they would probably be done in 6 months. Even less than that.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess also just noting with what the former speaker had mentioned, and as far as the reduction of the 6,600 for the next 6 months, and the realization of living within those means. You talked about you working on the utilities and turning off the aircon and all that. The vehicles that were mentioned, how many vehicles do you have on at present time right now, and how many are you being utilized?
We have 2 vehicles, only one's being utilized right now.
Okay, so one is down for it's not working or just not being utilized?
We're not utilizing it.
Okay.
The other one is being used for only home visits and burial. So home visits is a must because we have, those are sickly. So whenever we receive a communication regarding the case or a phone call, we do home visits. Because all our forms now, in the past, the forms used to be, this stack. But what we've done is we automated everything. Okay. So there's no longer waste. So one of the things that saved us money is automation.
Good. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Senator Tina Mooney Barnes. Senator Judy Guthertz.
Good morning, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your hard work and for taking care of our veterans. How many veterans do you service at this time, do you think?
At this time right now, based on the database that we've started, we service about 3,005 in claims.
Very good. And how is the new center working out in ASAN?
It's working out great. Everyone has their office, a private office, because every case is different. It's all confidential.
Sure.
So that's why if you go, people are asking, why didn't you have a central air conditioning system? Yeah. I said we couldn't because all the claims are confidential. So we have to have the doors closed when everything's are discussed.
Sure. And do the veterans come there to sort of socialize too?
No, they come there just to work on their claims.
Just to work on their claims, okay.
Yes.
Now, my question is a very simple one. In the last few days, we've been hearing from a gentleman who keeps calling on the radio station, I think it's K57, complaining about a veteran who had been homeless in Agate, but who was assisted and was finally qualified for certain benefits that he is receiving now. And the person who calls every day to Mr. Gibson's show keeps saying that this veteran is being mistreated by his common law wife. She beats him up, supposedly. He said he has filed complaints with the police department, he's called the mayor, he's done all these things. But he feels that not enough is being done to help this man. He believes this man was homeless for many years. And but now, because he has this benefit, and apparently he knows someone, they got together, and this person believes that this partner is taking advantage of this man, and that he is afraid to complain. But the complainer said that he's seen this man beat up with bruises over his body and his face repeatedly, and he's just very, very frustrated by it because he can't seem to get attention for this man. And keeping in mind that the man may be reluctant to admit what's happening because he has some other problems as well. So what can be done to help this person who might be a victim, this veteran that might be victimized because he is receiving a benefit and someone may be taking advantage of that benefit who shouldn't be?
Okay, like I mentioned to you, I believe it was Senator Wampa's inquiry or Senator Barnes' inquiry. If a family member of the veteran complains, the VA can step in.
It has to be a family member?
It has to be a family member.
But he has no family members helping him. I guess he was sort of disowned by his family. And
we could discuss it.
Okay, we can't talk about the person. Level. I know that. I'm not using any names.
Yes.
But
it's the name is set out in public. And
so you're familiar with it?
I'm familiar with the case.
Okay. And
we could work on it. I'm working on it.
Good.
And if you need more information, I could discuss it on a private level, but not publicly.
Yeah, all I want to know is that it is being taken care of and that you're looking into it with the proper offices.
There are levels of extremes.
Okay.
and the level of extreme is the money could be managed by somebody else. And once you get into that level of the VA managing your money, it is very, very, very difficult to get out of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure.
And you're talking about some veterans have been awarded what, $5,000 a month, and they cannot manage their fares.
Mm-hmm. So
what now is the VA says, okay, here's money for your house rent. We'll pay that. We'll pay for your car payment, and then this is X amount of dollars for you to live on. Meanwhile, you have no access to that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you have, and that's equivalent to like $2,000. You have $3,000 that's left in the bank. Unless you can justify that you need more money, they'll release that. Other than that, it stays in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the extreme that your funds will be managed for you.
Sure.
So the question is, do you want to go to that level?
Sure. Well, I think what my only concern is that this man is not being mistreated. I want to be sure that we're not going to allow someone to be abused and taken advantage of because of some medical problems or other problems by individuals that would take advantage of them. So as long as you're aware of it and you're working on it, I think that's important because it's all over the radio every single morning, and it's heartbreaking. But you're aware of it, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Judy, Dr. Judy. Yeah, do we have any other comments on the Veterans Office? And well, it'll be Veterans Day.
Well, we're looking at Veterans Day. Some veterans have come in and they don't even want to go through the process. All they want is just a certificate.
You're right, and some of them have told me that same thing. The families have also indicated that because the very first one that actually happened, some family members were literally in tears, and some went to the extreme, of course, of wanting to honor them by providing the lace and all that. And some of them are basically saying is that they really would like sometimes like something a little bit more formal in terms of whether it should be like during the time of a regular school graduation that when they wear the cap and gown. But of course that's only a few. But so you're going to have to kind of gauge it based on those who are ready and what they want. So, but anyway, I'm glad that you're still planning for the next one.
Yes.
Thank you.
On the, if I may be recognized out of order, the question that was raised by Tina Munya Barnes is a very legitimate question in terms of what about the two offices that are located over the Reflection Center. Let me tell you, being chair of the committee, it took me practically over 2 years to actually understand, their role. Like what was mentioned in Larmo's office, that's the readjustment. That office reports to the office in Fairfield, California, the regional office. The other one, the next to that office is Larson, and he's also in the compensation side and benefit, but he's reporting directly to Honolulu regional office. But then the office that is located, the office up at Naval Hospital, okay, that's located over Maui in Honolulu, in Hawaii. And so, it is so confusing in terms of, their role as far as helping the veterans, that the veterans themselves actually are confused. And, when they go to any of these offices, whether it be Fred's office or the other three offices, they consider themselves as registered veterans, and they probably thought that they have already more or less been part of the population of the veterans. And so, my office has done sort of, asking, hey, can we set up a one-stop? Mm-hmm.
Exactly, Mr. Chairman. I was wondering whether your office could do that, probably with the assistance of the delegate. That you're right, that it becomes a one-stop center, because it is very difficult for these veterans who many of them are disabled, they're older, of course, and it's hard to run to 4 different places, and it's like the left hand's not talking to the right hand, And I think that what has been demonstrated, at least, is looking at the statistics that Mr. Gofigan has provided, that he's done a lot of work in such a short time. And I think when all of these efforts are put together, that's why I had asked you that question, whether there was any federal dollars basically supporting this, and that's what I was alluding to, and whether there is a way that your office could facilitate something like this to make it a one-stop.
We're working on it and having people like, we have to commend like people like Mr. Ben Guerrero, who has, labor of love. The guy has done it for years. Okay, another one that is really should be recognized is Bern Atalik. That guy has been working 7 days a week in trying to help the veterans. And we're trying to set up service representative from each and every one of this organization that we have, veterans organization on this island, to assist the other veterans. So, in this way, we can actually get a lot more fundings and claims received by our local veterans. Fred, I'd like to thank you for coming down here, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, the next, we'll recess for maybe 30 seconds to bring in the medical referral. Medical referrals office. See, do you have the necessary document that you want to distribute to the senators, John?
Yes, Senator, I have the allotment, release percentages, as well as staffing pattern. There are no vacancies, but I do have the staffing pattern.
Okay, can we make copies of this? Okay, we'll take about a minute recess just to get all the necessary copies for the members. Thank you. Order, and before we go into the medical referral, I just also want to mention, Senator Judy Wampat, that we have the Vietnam veterans, and it's also being represented by James Matanani, who is a service representative, and he has been helping a lot too after working hours, and his office is located up in Manilo. No, these are all volunteers. Yeah. Yes, as a matter of fact, that's what we're encouraging. We're encouraging a lot more service representatives so that they can, other than just the Guam Veterans Office, the organization can have their own and be able to help, a lot more veterans than what we're helping right now. But yes, James Matanani, is one of those people, and I'm Ben Guerrero, and these are pure volunteers. Bern Atalik, and they're bringing in millions and millions of dollars too. Yeah, well, thank you very much. And now we move over to the medical referrals office, and Mr. John De La Rosa is going to answer questions regarding that office. John?
You want me to
Yes,
start?
sorry.
Okay, thank you, Senator. The medical referral office is going to reflect the 2.5% decrease for medical referral is going to total about $15,911.
Okay, you already have everybody make copy. They do have a copy of all the necessary information that we normally ask, right?
We provided the allotment release percentage document as well as the staffing for the LA and Honolulu medical referral offices. The Philippine medical referral is a contract, so we do not have a staffing pattern that reflects that.
And so who's in charge of this office now?
Peter Alexis Atta, who is currently in the Philippines negotiating some of the arrangements in conjunction with the medical referral office with some of the hospitals there.
Okay. Senator Judy Wampat.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I know because the full dollar amount here was like $620 some thousand, and I know that initially when we were looking at how much were being released, we understand that at least with the PI medical referral office, that 100% has been released to them. Is that because it is a contract?
100% has been encumbered, so the allotment has been released. The payments are a monthly payment, but yeah, the allotment is 100% because it is an annual contract.
Okay, and that for the PI then is $160,000,
That's correct.
and then now for LA, it's like at 66%, and then for Hawaii 70%. So LA and Hawaii then will be the ones then to incur this reduction of $15,000, or is it going to be shared, or is it going to be one specific office?
At this point, I do believe that the bulk of the savings is going to come from the Honolulu and LA offices, and that's going to occur in ways that will actually improve the level of service we provide out there. The difficulty with the medical referral offices is that on a cost basis per patient, LA and Honolulu are much higher than the Philippines, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but we do have to provide the continuous service for the people that are out there. What the Lieutenant Governor, who has taken charge of the medical referral office, has done is try to find ways to minimize the impact on the general fund by talking to the insurance companies and asking them to participate. About 80% of our patients that visit LA and Honolulu are insured. And so what he has done, and I believe they're in the final stages of the arrangement, has asked the insurance companies to purchase the vans for the offices, and then they can put their logos on it, and that will relieve us of the van rental costs that are currently being incurred by those offices, and will give us full-time van service instead of, sometimes the service is sporadic through those offices, and so we rent the vans as necessary, and if we can purchase the vans and then have them always available, it reduces the cost of the rental for us.
I don't understand, because I mean, if they are being rented and then now they're going to purchase, wouldn't that mean that more monies would have to be
No, the
put up
insurance
front then?
the insurance companies will actually purchase the vans.
I see.
Instead
Okay.
of doing a per transaction charge, the insurance companies, if they purchase the vans, then will accommodate
if the insurance company is doing that, then how are we going to realize this savings if it's coming out of the insurance and not out of the general fund?
we won't be renting vans out of the office budgets.
So you're saying that if currently the medical referral office rents the vans,
Correct.
and now then the insurance companies has agreed to purchase the vans, so then the rental between now until then September will
Will no longer be necessary.
Okay, and
Correct.
so and that's for both Hawaii and LA.
LA, yes.
And so would that then? Is there anything else besides the 15? I mean, would that be the total $15,000?
No, it leaves us with I think about $3,000 or $4,000, which is just going to have to come from paring down on the operational expenses. Like I said, the services that are provided out of Honolulu and LA are less consistent, and the load is not as heavy, and we're finding that the Philippine Medical Referral Office load is growing significantly. So the offices don't need to be staffed fully operational all day long. So they're just going to have to adjust their operations in accordance with what is required in the savings.
But
cost
they
reductions.
have not told your office at least what those specifics are.
I think what's going to dictate it is the release of their allotments. And no, I don't have an itemized of
Yeah.
the additional 3,000 or 4,000. I can get that for you, but we're confident that they will not affect the service we provide directly to the patients.
Yeah.
That
So
go out
would
there.
you be able to do that then, at least to provide to us something a little bit more specific? At
Yes.
least without the vans.
Yes,
But-
I think one of the other things that I should have mentioned earlier was, our offices, the medical referral offices, accommodate not just the patients but the escorts that go out with them too. And what happens in places like, especially like in LA, is if they need to go and purchase things or they want to go shopping and stuff, traditionally we accommodate those services. And as the patients and their escorts go out now, we're informing them that we're not going to be as liberal with that. If you want to go to the mall shopping, we try to make it as pleasant a stay as I guess you can make it while they're dealing with what they're dealing with out there. But the cost of gas, especially in LA, to
You're right.
take them to
Even
these
Hawaii.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other, which is realizing a savings as well, is that do we have anyone who was living here in Guam and is being assigned there temporarily, because then that can be expensive having to relocate? Or are the people who work in these medical offices actually residents of both Hawaii and LA?
They all live out there in
Okay,
their
so
respective
we're not
places.
having to pay
No.
for housing or
They just
whatever
receive a
other-
straight salary.
I see that. Okay. Oh, wait. Are there any vacancies
There are no vacancies, ma'am.
in any one of their offices?
No.
In either offices?
No.
Have there been any new employees?
No, not in the medical. Oh, Peter Alexis Ada, who is
I mean,
now
other
assumed.
than Peter, you're right.
Yeah, no, there are no employees.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Senator? Okay, Senator Lujan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Morning, John.
Morning, sir.
The medical referral office in the Philippines is contracted out, right?
That's correct.
Versus Hawaii and California.
Yes, sir.
LA, right?
Yes,
Okay. And my understanding that the same type of service is provided in the Philippines as is provided in Hawaii and LA in regards to customer satisfaction, customer
Yes.
care, or
Yeah.
patient care and things like that, right?
Transport, and we try
Absolutely.
to accommodate
Yeah.
everything.
Okay. Now, have you guys looked into possibly mirroring Hawaii and, mirroring the Philippines with Hawaii and LA in regards to the contracting out of
Yes,
those
that-
services?
I believe that that's the Lieutenant Governor's plan, is to contract out the services moving forward. That way we can have fixed costs. Right?
Absolutely.
We pay it out once
Yeah.
and
Okay,
it's taken care
with a
of.
fixed cost, and these are the job descriptions, is what you do.
That's
Make sure patient and customer satisfaction and government satisfaction meets the needs of
Yes.
the people and stuff. And I just think that in that case, that we'll have again, of course, the cost reduction, a fixed rate, and all that, and you take care of it, because if it's working in the Philippines and they're still providing the same amount of care, and we see the increased amount of for the obvious reasons that it's cheaper.
Right.
Medical services are cheaper now in the Philippines, and family members can accompany them more so than in Hawaii and in California. And if the same type of service is being provided, basically, and patient care and all that, I don't see why it wouldn't work in Hawaii. And when do you think we're going to see something like that come about?
I don't want to speak ahead of the Lieutenant Governor, but I do believe that they're trying to get it implemented so that we can explore that opportunity in
Okay.
the 08 fiscal year.
Okay.
But
Just off the top of your mind, John, and I'm sure again you guys are crunching the numbers and all this. Off the top of your mind, what do you think the cost savings will be once we pretty much contract those services out, roughly?
I'm sorry, Senator. I just don't want to. I don't want to speak ahead of that. I do know this. I do know that because of the. What's worked well in the Philippines is, as the volume has significantly
Sure,
increased,
sure.
the cost to this government has not.
Sure.
The contractor has had to incur the cost of the additional transport, the cost
Sure.
of the gas, and all that stuff. If we do the same thing for Hawaii and Los Angeles, I believe that we can decrease the total operating costs for the contract because of the volume decreases. We're seeing fewer patients. Obviously, if we're seeing
Sure.
more to the Philippines, we're seeing fewer go to the Hawaii and LA. As in terms of a dollar amount or a percentage decrease, I don't want to even guess at it because I don't have a point of reference for that right now. But I can try and get that information.
Okay,
for
I
you
mean, just
today.
roughly again to look at that. I mean, most importantly is that the level of service that is being delivered right now is not compromised
That's
to
right.
the patients. I mean, again, these patients don't go over there to go to Disneyland, and they
That's
don't go
right.
to the mall to buy the Louis Vuittons. They go to basically
To
buy
buy
their
food or
food and things of that.
medicines, yes.
And so again, just as long as that's not compromised and they're given as much care and attention as possible, but again, realizing again that this government is really strapped.
Right.
Okay, well, no, I'm just looking at it, and if it's working in the Philippines, I can't see why that we could not mirror the operations over there with Hawaii and LA.
That is the goal, Senator. And it's the same mindset that we can incur savings and actually fix the cost of that.
Well, obviously, the long-term goal is that all patients in the very near future are referred to our hospital.
To Guam, yes. That is-
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator.
Senator Tina Rose Munya Barnes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. John, thank you for being here. I know just earlier they talked, I was really concerned about the differences on patient population, and could you identify the differences between Hawaii, Guam, LA, and the Philippines? And I know that you noted that Philippines was entertaining more patients at this time.
Yeah, I don't have the specific number. I will get that for you.
If you can, because it
apologize.
probably will make a big difference.
I do know that the Philippines, the amount of traffic that's going through that office has grown. Man, probably
I'm
close
also
to 50%.
wondering why that the medical referral offices that has a total fund appropriation of $160,000, nothing has been disbursed to date. It's in a reserve fund. Can you explain why? Because I understand that the transport for patients to St. Luke's or Cardinal Santos or any of the Center of Excellences there continues to be a large population that goes there. Why hasn't anything been paid to date?
I'll have to get that answer for you from BPMR. I am sorry. I was
Yeah,
prepared to answer the
also-
cost
also-
savings and not on the operations.
Also, for us, John, I think it will play a major impact. As you know, I've had the opportunity to work closely with the medical referral in Hawaii many years ago when I was a patient there, and it really made a difference. I'm kind of concerned regarding the hours of operations because for our patients here who go there, a lot of them have never left the island of Guam, have never been to the Philippines, have never been to the United States, and choosing the area to go to is usually based on the insurance companies here or their doctor's recommendation. And I just want to know also what the number of employees they have in Hawaii, LA, and I guess in the Philippines. There's nothing right now, right?
No, it's all under contract. But they do employ, but the contractor employs them. I believe they're
In the Philippines.
Yes, I believe the staffing patterns.
But
for
you
the-
just mentioned that in Hawaii and LA they pay them straight time.
Yes,
was that also via contract?
No, we fund those offices. We operate those offices.
Okay,
With
you
government
operate.
law.
So how many employees are right now in Hawaii?
I believe you were provided copies of the the staffing patterns.
This one
There
here.
are 5 in Hawaii and
Oh, okay. Okay.
4 in LA.
And you also mentioned about the vehicles. How many vehicles in Hawaii and how many vehicles in LA?
I think there's one apiece.
One
It's
apiece?
yeah. And it's not even it's rented as needed. It's a rental issue. So if the volume requires more, then they rent up towards that.
So you're saying both vans, both in LA and in Hawaii, are both rented. The agency doesn't. The medical referral
We
offices
don't own a
them.
van. No.
So I guess the employees who take the patients around, sometimes they use their privately owned vehicles to take the patients out?
I don't know that. I do know that when they do take the patients via the medical referral office that they have to rent the van.
Do you know the hours of operations for both for all three locations?
The Hawaii and LA offices, I believe, are open the traditional 8 to 5, but there's also always contact with the office. So the patients are always provided a contact number if they need assistance after hours.
After hours, is there also a a hotline or a number here on Guam that could be utilized if the patients needed to get somebody from the medical referral office here?
Yes, our medical referral office has the contact numbers available all the time.
For
And just to clarify, Senator, the shortened hours, what I was referring to is not shortened hours, but reducing staff during those hours so that we're not fully staffing offices and operations and incurring all those costs, right? I mean, those offices will always be available to the patients and their escorts, whether they're via phone or if they can visit the offices. Those arrangements are always made in advance. They're always checking in on the patients as they're in the hospitals and ensuring that their needs are met. So it's the one thing we want to do is make sure that we don't jeopardize or decrease the level of service that we provide to the patients and their families out there.
So the reduction to date for the medical referral office for the proposals at $625.10, that is a total reduction from what was proposed in the 07 budget. What was your decrease amount?
The total decrease for medical referral is $15,900. That's the amount decrease.
And do you feel that the medical referral offices can live within that reduction of the $15,000?
Yes.
And that would affect what area of the three locations?
As I said earlier, the way we intend to incur the cost savings is by with the arrangement that we're doing with the health insurance companies, where the health insurance companies will purchase the vans. We wouldn't have to rent them anymore. They're being a little more diligent about the kinds of transport that they're making available so that we will accommodate their needs to make their stay as comfortable as possible, but maybe we're not going to drive them to the mall that's half an hour away from where they're at and then back to pick them up later on in the day.
And as far as the three locations, John, that we have to date, what is the time frame from the designated hospitals, from, I guess, St. Luke's, I guess, Straub in Hawaii, and then Good Samaritan, right, in L.A.? Are there any other arrangements for any other hospital in as far as the medical referral? Is there any MOUs with any other clinics, or is it just specifically those hospitals that I've just mentioned?
Fred used to run that, so I'm going to ask him to come
I think
and
in the
help me
Philippines they have three.
Yeah.
St. Luke's, Makati Medical, and International Asia Hospital, located outside metropolitan Manila.
What I would think, Mr. Chair, also just asking those questions is also finding a medium point strategically located in between the areas that we can send our patients to, so that would save on gas, would save on time, would save on I guess vehicle wear and tear also.
Senator, what dictates where the patients go is not the government. The one that dictates where the patients go are the insurance providers. We just provide the services. The reason why the office was created was in Honolulu back in the 80s. Our patients would go there, there's nobody there. So they were utilizing the services of Saipan office. And they would try and find things to actually go there and ask for money because they're not aware of the change in the culture. So they were just left hospital, walk down the street to purchase what to eat, and then go back to the hospital and even the hotel. Queens at the time used to provide lodging back in the 80s. And it was to the cry of some of the people there, because I was staying in Honolulu at the time. And it was through that I wrote a letter to Senator Pinko at the time and Senator Tanaka, and they introduced the first bill for creation of the medical referral office. And then it was later on introduced by former Senator Marilyn Matabusin, and then the governor at the time created the first office, which is over in patients over to the Philippines. And it's always been the government's role was providing the services to pick up free. And we incurred the cost. The insurance companies didn't bear any of the cost at all. So it was really up to the legislature if they allowed to start charges, we wanted to start charging for the service we provided because everyone talked about the cost, but yet nobody wanted to charge. So we looked at it with John and everybody else, that we cannot also solicit, because Pete Adam wanted to go and solicit from the insurance companies to start paying for some of these costs, but we're not allowed as a government to go out there and solicit for some of these costs. So if for Lieutenant Governor to further carry out his goal of having the insurance companies provide some of these expenses, there would have to be an amendment of the law that was done like similar to what Senator Pinko did to the VA, where he allowed our office to receive contributions. So that's something that it would have to be done through legislation. And as far as some of the figures from last year alone, Honolulu is still going to see the bulk of the Philippines, but Honolulu has never decreased because whatever decreases it in civilian clients, the VA makes up for it. So the more I do my work at the VA or our staff does the work, then the more the veterans are going to be referred off to AAA for treatment, as well as compensation and pension examinations for them to get their disabilities, to justify their disabilities. So I believe,
Can you clarify how many vans we have in Honolulu?
Honolulu, we currently have 2 vans, 2 to 3.
Okay.
It's one or two vans.
Sorry.
1 or 2 vans.
I understand that one is almost ready for retirement, and we probably need to do an RFP or something to get another one. So
With
my concerns
Honolulu?
with Honolulu.
Honolulu,
and
the
also
time
LA.
before I was just shifted to handling the VA. Honolulu, we were doing a rental. One of the biggest challenges that we had there was procurement. When we went out for a bid at the time, we were already servicing, we had a lease agreement with Ford, and we were paying that amount of like $800 a month. And GSA chief of procurement said, okay, we have to go out for a bid on that. You can no longer continue just utilizing Ford. I said, if you're going to do that, make sure you have an alternative solution. Because once we stop that agreement, they're going to say, forget it. We don't want to go back into agreement with you. So she goes, no, you're going to have to do that. So we went ahead and did that. Sure enough, it all failed. And there was no plan B. The only plan B was for my credit card. So what we did was, Claudia did not have a plan B. So Ford says, wait a minute, I'm going to go out there and bid for that, and you want me to give you all my shareholders for what, $1,600 a month? Forget it. And that's what they did. So we were at that point where there was no vans at all for the patients. So the only way to keep things going was for me to utilize my credit card to get the staff to continue the van leases. And then later on get reimbursed by the government because they didn't want to put that phase in. So right now we're at a better level. So what we did now is we shifted from my personal credit card to the government now because the government did not want to issue out credit cards for our office. And everybody said no. But we were left at the position of let the patients and their families wait at the airport and go figure things on their own or take the sacrifices personally. And we chose as a staff to take the sacrifices personally. So now most of the people are being referred to the Philippines. Just last year, 2006 first quarter, LA 199, Honolulu 167, Philippines 207. And that's from October to December 2006. 2006 second quarter, January through March, Honolulu 205, quarter 2006, April through June, Honolulu 210, LA 280, Philippines 406. Fourth quarter, July to September, they're working on that figures right now.
Mr. Chair, I really, really understand and know that this agency is really, really vital to our patients who leave Guam. And I really want to support the efforts, whether it be MOUs, whether it be further solidifying contracts to make it easier for the medical referral offices in the 3 locations that we have, because I know that our patients here who leave a lot of times go through just within itself a culture shock, and just being able to have the medical offices help facilitate motor transportation, appointment times and all that, I think it's really crucial and vital. And I just wanting to make sure that what we have to date and the equipment that is utilized, or the vans that are utilized, the automobiles that are utilized, that they're kept up to par to support our patients and to make sure that their safety is safeguarded. So it's really, really important, Mr. Chair, that we really look at the numbers carefully. I see just based on the numbers that are provided, it continues to increase. I know that my good colleague from Tamuning had noted that our miracle here is hoping that our patients will stay here and see our work with our facilities here, but we know that a lot of the specialties are not here on our island today. So I think it's still really crucial that these offices get the proper attention that it needs. And if we need to look at amending some of the provisions that are on today, then we need to look at that carefully. But also, if we need to do a feasibility study to see if owning a van versus renting a van may make a difference, we also got to make a look at that because of the cost savings that is needed. But I think it is very vital, it is very important that we keep these offices and that we protect that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes.
Also, with the medical referral, like for example, Los Angeles, they were looking at us purchasing a van. Well, just if you're going to transport patients in the state of California, per van, there's got to be an insurance of about $1 million. So that's why it was best to contract that out. Or if you're going to lease it, you lease it from like Avis or one of the lease companies that provides that coverage. So each state, again, has a different policy on transporting people. Because technically, a van and you have family members, it's a regular policy. But when you're transporting people for services, then that's a whole different entity again in itself.
Thank you. For the record, though, are you the one in charge of the medical referral?
No, but I used to be. But we
Used to be.
support each other.
Okay, he's not. Any other question? Yeah, Senator Ben Pangilinan.
On the medical referral office, the Philippine office is a contract. How was that contract procured?
I believe it was bid out.
Okay, it was bid out here,
Yes, here.
locally,
Mhm.
and did an off-island company then bid on it, or is it a local company?
Yes, I believe there was about 2 or 3 companies that bid on it, off-island companies.
Now, my question, I guess, is are those people subject to the tax laws of Guam? Are they paying GRT? Are they licensed on Guam? Are they required to be? Do we know?
I don't have that question right off
Yeah.
but I could have that information.
Yeah,
for you
I
today.
think that's something that I would like to find out. If we are in fact through a local RFP responded to locally, contracting, of course, with the local government, I'd like to know the relationship. Are they registered on Guam and providing the service in the Philippines? Are they therefore have a business license in Guam and are paying their GRT on Guam, et cetera, et cetera? So I think that's something that I would like to get answered.
Okay.
Thank you.
Give that.
Okay. Any other? Okay. Well, with that, I want to thank you, John, for answering on behalf of the medical referral, and you too, Fred Gofigan. Thank you very much. Okay, we have more or less we completed section 14 and all the sub-items on section 14. Senator Eddie Calvo, you're recognized for the next section.
Actually, Mr. Chair, I did have an amendment proffered here. I know the rules are, we go through the individual areas and we're looking at the appropriation. I'm going to acknowledge that the bill that was presented to us, we've gone through all the sub appropriations, the subcategories, and there has been an addition error of about $1.4 million. And with that, there's a necessity to make changes on the appropriations totals in section 14 based on subtotals from A through Y. And so, Mr. Chair, I'm going to be looking towards your guidance here. The reason for the amendment I'm going to put forward is to deal with basically straightening out the math and ensuring that the total appropriation that has mentioned in section 14, page 15, as well as page 15, that those numbers are corrected to take into account the dollar figures that we have gone through quite painstakingly over the past several days. So, again, I don't know whether that's out of order, but this amendment will deal with that particular issue in regards to ensuring that the numbers jive. And there's one. Oh,
okay. No. Take 1 minute recess. The host back in session. Senator Calvo, you're recognized.
Yeah, thank you very much,
You
Mr.
do have an amendment, a proposed amendment to Bill number 74?
Yes, Mr. And Mr. Chair, there's no deal. Some folks think there's a change. All there is now is that the subtotals from A through Y will now match what the number is stated in lines 15 through 22 in the bill. And again, originally, the appropriation was at $66,136,846, and then with a breakdown of $45,636,400 from the general fund. If you total the subcategories from A to Y, there is a total dollar figure of $44,495,489. Yet in the bill, they reflected a $45,636,400, which is about a 1.14 imbalance. There was just an additional error, so that corrects that.
Okay, on the motion, just to substitute this section without objection, so ordered. Okay.
We'll just. Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, the Committee of the Whole will recess until 1:30 this afternoon. 1:30. Recess this morning. There's an amendment that was made by Senator Eddie Calvo that sort of corrected everything from on section 14 of chapter 4. This was substituted earlier, and so I'll open up just for any question on the correction that was made. Senator Ben Pangilinan. Yeah, anything on chapter 14 has replaced or has substituted
Thank you very
from section 1 of section 14 all the way to subsection Y.
The I understand what has occurred here, Mr. Speaker, with regards to these numbers, but but I think that we have to understand that this number also can still change. Is that correct? So,
Yeah.
Because it really is dependent on what we do. Because in the next section of the bill, for example, and it's not in here, but what happens is when you set the revenue level at $64 million for the governor's for the executive branch, and the next section, the section of the bill that's not in this correction bill, has an appropriation under section 2 of chapter 4 of Public Law 28-150, appropriates an additional $1,522,142 plus $1,813,068 plus $3,710,507 in Public Law 2180 or 28-150. Those numbers are appropriated from funds. For example, the 1.5 million is from the GTA privatization proceeds fund, the cushion account. The 1.8 is from the interim transition coordinating committee fund, and the 3.7 is from the dormant accounts. And these monies are appropriated to the executive branch. So when we correct this number and put the 64 million plus this brings the total appropriation to the executive branch up to or gives an additional about $6 million to the executive branch, so that now the governor's office executive branch appropriation has increased. Now, the reason why I didn't object to accepting this is my intention is to delete these appropriations and charge every encumbrances that have been charged against these funds to this appropriation here, and therefore the appropriation level to the executive branch remains the same. We don't want to increase the additional the executive branch budget beyond the $64 million is what I'm
Understood, yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to note that.
Now, again, for the information of the body, okay, we have replaced section 14 of chapter 4, and we're moving to chapter 15. Section 15, TEFF, Fund Debt Service Fund Savings Appropriation
Mr. Chairman?
Repeal. Yes, Senator.
Mr. Chairman, on Section 14, which was just adopted,
Sure.
how are these cuts now proposed by Chairman Calvo any different from the cuts that the Camacho administration proposed?
Okay, will you heal? There is an understanding here, Senator, that there's some sections on the back as we go that will be adjusted accordingly.
So these are the most.
These are just the corrections that were made, to as far as numbers are concerned and the addition.
Yeah. And Mr. Chairman, could we then get an update from Chairman Calvo or from anybody as to where we are currently at the budget process after adopting all of these the section 14 and understanding the other sections in the bill, I just am asking for an update to the bottom line number, which we still have to bridge.
Okay. Oh, does anyone, Senator Calvo or anyone wants to update the Senator Specious request?
Because from my understanding, Mr. Speaker, the revised spending authority is about $478 million because of the judiciary appropriation that was reinstated, as well as the public library. And the adopted revenue projection in the committee of the whole is $453.7 million. I'm still showing a cash shortfall of $24.3 million. I'd just like for the chairman or anybody to give us an update.
Actually, Senator, as we go, go on, there will be we will be adjusting the numbers accordingly, and we really have not moved.
Mr. Chairman, would the revenue side be adjusted accordingly as well?
I think there'll be a lot of change that will be made. Yes.
So if there's any recommendations to adjust the revenue side, would we have an opportunity to ask by what methodology those numbers are to be adjusted? So there's some justification and there's some method to this madness?
Well, we're trying to right now make something about with the madness that we have on hand. So if we can proceed, though, then there'll be appropriate amendments that will be made, later on. So now we're on section 15. Anything on section 15? That's the one that replaced section 14 altogether, just to update it. Right. Mm-hmm. But other parts of the bill itself, it's understood there will be change. Okay. Okay. Section 15. If none, we're going on section 16. Continuing appropriation repeal. On that, okay. Okay, Senator Wampet.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to get clarification to make sure then that what we're doing here basically does not in any way change the very first motion that was made when we first started out, that because remember there were several copies of Bill 74. We had a for information only, and then we had another bill that had I think the Department of Law that was not part of it. And I think if the motion, and maybe the chairman might remember, the motion that he made was just for I'm not sure, there's just purposes of discussion, but not necessarily an adoption of.
Actually, it is understood that later on there'll be other adjustment accordingly.
Okay, but I mean that it's not.
Yeah, and then even the revenue and other arithmetic, addition and subtraction will come about. Senator Calvo, would you like to?
Well, just a point of information. Again, obviously, when there has been, again, the administration made note to the legislative body that they will be sending over language on proposed changes in fees. And with those changes in fees, obviously there's a dollar amount pegged to that. And if that dollar amount that is pegged to that fee adjustment, if we ratify that, then obviously it would then have an impact on the revenue side, because those were not accounted for when we went through the revenue portion of the bill. So again, that was how the discussions have been. We originally went into the areas for just, again, amendments to delete or to deappropriate further. But again, when we get to the latter portions of the bill, and again, after we've gone through all these other deappropriation measures, if an amendment is made by a senator that will have an impact on revenues, then obviously, there will be adjustments. And again, that's what we have to this point. This has been the view of the body.
Okay, on section 16, if none, we'll move to section 17. And this is the appropriation to the judiciary, Section 12A, Part 2. Any discussion? If none, okay, we're going to Section 18, appropriation to the Legislature in Guam. Senator Wampat, you're recognized. Okay, on Section 19, appropriation to the Office of Finance and Budget, Senator Calvo.
Are we
19.
in we passed section 16.
We passed 17. We passed 18. And we're in Section 19.
Yeah. Yeah, on 19, again, Mr. Speaker, or Mr. Chair, I'm going to be passing out an amendment. And basically what the amendment does is what we've already instituted in our in-house as a result of some of the issues in regards to cash disbursements out to the legislature. And with that, there has been already an adjustment in our in-house budget to reduce appropriations by 10%. So I'm going to make an amendment to Office of Finance and Budget appropriations, where there will be a 10% de-appropriation. So I'll pass that amendment out for members of the body.
It's Section 19. I think that's
No, we're in Section 7. We already passed 17. We passed 16. 17 is the judiciary. Remember, we discussed that? On page 19, yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Okay, just
clarification.
I'll give a second. Somebody please help Senator.
This is the clarification. I
Okay,
think
this a
maybe-
minute recess.
Yeah. What was
Hello. Okay. The legislature is back in session now. Okay, we are on page 19. Okay, section 19, and supposedly the chair of the committee wanted to reduce by 10% the present appropriation. Okay, and so everybody has that here. Oh, well, this is section 17 of the old bill, the old public law. Yeah, but we are on section 19. Let me see, page 19, section 19. Yes, Okay, and so any discussion on 19? We're going to section 20, Mayor's Council of Guam. Are you going to make further amendment to what you got already? Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. The chair got it. Stand corrected. So while they're passing out the amendment, now Senator Calvo, you recognize.
Yeah, again, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, all I've done is just readjusted the de-appropriation to represent a 10% cut in my office budget for Office of Finance and Budget. So the new number would be at $455,071.
Okay, on that, is there any objection? Okay, we're now on section 20. Mayor's Council of Guam, section 20, page 20. Senator Judy, Dr. Judy.
cut the mayor's council's budget, Mr. Chairman. I object.
Okay. Let's.
They're already encountering serious difficulties. Tina, would you please elaborate?
Mr. Chair, if I may, just based on the presentation that was presented to us on March 13 on the Mayor's Council, their authorization of release was already at 100%, as I noted in my previous presentation, and that if they were already given the 100% authorization and funding released to them, how can we continue to take back something that was already given to them? Based on the Mayor's Council. Hold on. Give me a second, Mr. Chair. I'll give you the total appropriations that were released to date. 1 second.
Okay, well, I'll go for a second recess. Okay, recess for a second.
On the presentation that was given to us previously, the total appropriations for all 7 given to the Mayor's Council of Guam was at $9,348,597. Year-to-date allotment release was a total of at 100%. Section 19, based on the governor's proposal, was to reduce that allotment down to 7.556112. And again, Mr. Chair, I have difficulty reducing that funding for the Mayor's Council when I continue to say that the mayors continue to be our first responders out in the community, continuing to work 24/7 around the clock for their residents, and I just can't see the appropriation at this time when the release was already given to them.
Okay, you finish. Okay, Senator Respicio.
Thank you very much.
Section 20. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I want to know if the mayors were asked to come down to the Committee of the Whole. I really wouldn't like to do anything without hearing from the mayors themselves. I know they've already went on public record through the media telling the people what this cut would do to them. And beyond echoing the sentiments of the previous speakers, as we cut the budgets of public works and other agencies, you're going to see a lot of these services fall in the laps of the mayors. And so I move that we take a recess for however long it takes to invite the mayors to come here and have a serious dialogue with the legislature. I think as a courtesy, they should be invited, Mr. Chairman. They should be here to let this legislature know what this cut would mean for them. And I make that motion that we recess and we invite them to come in.
On the motion to recess? Well, would you like to hold back your recess until the question is asked? On the motion to recess, it's not debatable. So, I'm sorry, but let me do this, okay? Let me call at least a minute recess right now so we can get ourselves together. Okay, thanks. Okay, the Committee of the Whole is back. Okay, we, as requested, where's Senator Respicio? Okay, as requested by Senator Respicio to recess, pending the, the call to the Mayor's Council. And also, we do have the Public Auditor and also the Public Defender's Office we will recess until these people or the office of the mayor's council and their representative arrive, and also the public auditor and the Public Defenders Corporation. Okay, so can we have the staff please work with Senator Calvo and getting these people here. Okay, so we recess until such time that one of the three offices that I mentioned arrive.
Tana will work our way down to the right, and let's get an introduction of all our mayors and vice mayors. Is there any vice mayor? Oh, we have one vice mayor here. Oh, from the very, very left. Oh, can we get the microphone here? There. Just do an introduction. Oh, turn the microphone on.
Oh, up there, okay. Hello, okay. Pete Bora here, Mayor Orditz Lampago.
Half a day, Mayor Sherry Charles Malesso.
Mayor Paul McDonald, Agana Heights.
Mayor John Cruz of Agatnia.
Mayor Ben Matauto of Piri. Mayor Turlai, Jonia.
Mayor Sadikos Asamayna.
John Bloss, Executive Director.
Vice Mayor Hoffman, Sinahanya.
Okay, again, thank you very much for your attendance and participation. With that, Senator Respicio.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. See, the very fact that the mayors and vice mayors can come down here at a moment's notice really prove that they are Island's first responders. And I want to thank the Committee of the Whole for recessing to allow the mayors and vice mayors to come here to make a presentation before this legislature and to tell the legislature what a total reduction in their appropriation from the various funding that they receive, which amounts to about $235,903. I think it's very important. We've only heard them state their case publicly, and I think as a courtesy for them that they be allowed to express to us exactly what these cuts would mean. And Senator Gutherds and Senator Munya Barnes have begun the dialogue, and I'm sure there are other senators in this legislature that would be equally concerned, because at a time when the line agencies are being scaled back on their appropriation levels, those responsibilities are going to continue to fall on the laps of the mayors and vice mayors. They do everything that you can possibly imagine. When Public Works doesn't pick up the trash, who do the people call? The mayors and vice mayors. When there's even a dead animal in the front of the house or even in someone's yard, who do they call? It's our mayors and vice mayors. And I think our people don't give them enough recognition and the dignity that they deserve in carrying out their day-to-day operations. So I want to begin by asking anybody in the panel, Mr. Chairman, they receive money for their operations. They also receive money from their Village Street Maintenance and Beautification Fund. But the total cut that's being proposed by the Camacho administration in Section 20 of this bill would amount to $235,903. And I'd like to ask anybody up there what those cuts would mean to our mayors and vice mayors.
So, okay. Sure, why don't we, I'll let you, mayors, decide who would like to speak first.
Can I say one thing? Thank you, Senator Respicio. I really thank you for allowing us to have the time to come down and invite us here. First of all, I do not know exactly what the cut is, but I tell you what's happening now. It's totally unacceptable, and it's really a disrespect for what they've done to the mayor's council already by actually like freezing our accounts in the beginning, like 3-4 weeks ago, and then coming back and telling us that everything that we have to do to continue our operation is that they would have to approve it down in the front office. So we actually can't tell what exactly the cut's going to be until they actually start saying yes or no to any of the requests that we have for expenditures. So I'm sure that if you understand what I'm trying to say is that they're saying the proposal is 2%, but it could be even bigger because they have the control now. We have to submit a justification for any expenditures that they feel like we have to justify. So that's a total disrespect for the Mayor's Council. I am really upset. It's a disruption to our operation in general, in our everyday operation with the Mayor's Council. So again, thank you.
Can you
Senator.
just, Mayor McDonald, tell the legislature what a day in the life of a mayor and vice mayor is? Maybe understand, but I think it's important for the community to hear firsthand all the trials and tribulations that you guys go through on a daily basis.
Yes, Senator.
And how this cut would further impact those kinds of trials and tribulations and exacerbate it.
Sure. First of all, you mentioned earlier that a lot of the cuts that are occurring now in the different agencies would fall upon the mayors, which is very true. Not only physically, but even in counseling, even in taking care of truancy, counseling adults, students, and all. I have a park that is not budgeted. I have the Triangle Park. I am not complaining about it. I just want everybody to know that that park is not funded already. And I have not asked, I've asked for funding, but have not been approved. But just to give you an example, I, take care of that park any way I can. And especially now that they restrict us from actually allowing to continue or to normally take care of the park. That's one. Again, the trash pickup. If they're going to cut back on the trash pickup, Guam Waterworks Authority, I wrote to Senator Jimmy Espodon. I think he's read my letter the wrong way, and I'm kind of upset with them also. Stop burdening the people, because if you understand the meter, from the meter to the 18 inches up to the 18 inches where your shut-off valve is supposed to be or required, if it leaks anytime there, you have no control to turn off the meter that you and I pay for. It's plain and simple. I wrote to him and I told him about it. You know what? He responded and congratulated Dave Craddock for coming up with that idea. Now, if people would realize in the future, and I hope it won't be too late and it won't be one of those people that are in need, that if that water meter leaks in between your cutoff valve and the meter, then you're going to be charged and charged for that water until somebody from Guam Waterworks comes by to turn off the valve in their meter, is what he's calling it. I am asking that you allow us to turn off the meter when we feel like it or when there's a need, because we pay for that water. It's our meter. As a matter of fact, I think we're being charged for that meter, and we have the right to do that, to turn off that meter whenever there's a leak. Because the way the requirement is now, you cannot turn off that meter. Well, that's just one of the many problems that we have with Guam Waterworks. I, again, would like to bring up about charging the people the required 4 to 6 inch pipe to hook up a meter. Again, I am upset. My Coconut Park, the Agana Heights and the Naval Hospital Coconut Park, that we have applied for water for over 2 months. We can't get it hooked up to this date. The coconuts that we have planted, the 500 plus coconuts that we have planted, are dying right now because of this the heat that we're having or the dry season. 2 months we've waited, over 2 months. They came back last week, and just for the it's called the outlet for the meter, they're charging me $1,800 for the outlet of the meter. It's ridiculous. I can imagine if a residential person or a normal person, average individual, come up to apply for a meter and he'll be charged $1,800 just so that they can plug in their meters. Come on, it's getting ridiculous. It's terrible already. Well, senators, please wake up. Please help our people. They're suffering, and let's not let them suffer. I see. I can see though about the fees for driver's license going up, for registration. Yes, those fees are needed, but for the necessity of like water and power, please protect our people. Let's not overburden them with trying to hook up the basic needs of everybody.
Thank you, Mayor McDonald. Mayor Savares, I just want to quickly ask, what is the mayor's? I know you're president of the Mayor's Council. Good afternoon to you as well. What is the official position of the Mayor's Council relative to this section of the Budget Act for the revised fiscal year 2007?
Of course, we understand that the reduction is a 2.5% reduction. Last week at the Mayor's Council meeting, we did decide what areas we were going to reduce there for the Mayor's Council, and we did have parts of the mayor's operations, portions of the mayor's operations, as well as the village street funds and the public safety and social education fund. The reduction with the Mayor's Council of Guam would be $235,903. Of course, with the appropriations out of for the mayor's operations, overall, the Mayor's Council has already expended 53.8% of our operations allotment. With the village street funds, of course, this is because of our operations within the districts. The village street funds, out of the total allotment, we have already expenditures of 58.9% as of this date. And with the public safety and social education account or fund, we have a total of 44% that's already been expended by the mayors. We do have personnel that's all, the 48.1% that's already been expended and spent because of salaries. Okay, but we do of course, it's going to hurt the mayors. As Mayor McDonald said, it's not just beautification. We're also assuring safety for our residents, roadside as well as in our parks. Whether we have the money or not, we're still maintaining it.
And for the schools, right, in the morning and the afternoon, you direct traffic?
Senator, right now the schools, they don't have grass cutting contract. I know for a fact in Derrida, I have 6 public schools. All 6 public schools have asked us to come out. I only have 5 maintenance. All 6 public schools have asked us to come out and cut their grass as well. That is not even budgeted here. So what I'm doing is I'm using my fuel from my village street funds, which I'm supposed to be cleaning the roadsides, the secondary to tertiary roads. I'm using part of my fuel for the village street funds to also cut the grass with my tractor and our bush cutters at the schools. So we're also picking up the slack. Parks that are maintained by Parks and Recs, they're not coming in because, of the cut. Everybody's restricted. So we go out there with our tractor mowers to continue to maintain so that our people can continue to use the facilities that are in the villages. So whatever is not done by the agencies, of course, the mayors continue to assure that they're clean, the facilities are cleaned and maintained so that our people continue to use the facilities that we have in the village, whether whether it's under the jurisdiction of Department of or Guam Public School System, Parks and Recs, Public Works, or the mayors. We're continuing to assure safety. We've cut back on beautification because we want to make sure the roadsides are at least safe for our people to continue using. We have to assure that the sidewalks are clear for them. We have to make sure that they can at least walk to and from school or to and from the bus stop that they need to get to without walking in the middle of the street because the grass is overgrown on the side of the road. So all those things, the mayors continue to assure safety for our people in the villages, whether or not we have the funding, whether or not it's Guam Public School System's responsibility, Parks and Recs, Public Works. We're continuing to be there for our people to assure safety for our residents in the villages.
You know, Mayor Savares, I'm from Agana Heights, and I could be the first to testify how hardworking Mayor McDonald is, and the same can be said for every single one of you mayors and vice mayors, and I'm hoping that your testimony this afternoon does not fall on deaf ears, and I hope that the legislature truly quantifies what a cut to the mayor's council budget will mean, how that'll be a direct impact to our island community out there. And so you just have to lay it on the table. If you cut the mayor's council by $235,000, you're already short budget as it is. Short-staffed, and the challenges you're experiencing with the allotment process is the same as all the other departments and agencies. But I think when the people demand services from the government, they don't first look to Public Works. They look to their mayors and vice mayors. And I, for one, Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to support any cuts to the mayors and vice mayor's budget, and I want to give up some of my time right now so that the other senators can ask all the other mayors and vice mayors and help them build their case to preserve their funding. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Senator Respicio. Senator Jesse Lujan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, you know, we're going on, I guess, getting close to a month now and sitting here with the administration and doing numbers and things of that nature. And I, for one, as well, know the hard work. I don't see my village mayor here, but I know he's hard at work. There's a lot of graffiti going on in our villages, I'm sure, just like other villages as well. But let me just say that the work that you guys do is just something that, again, you don't get paid enough, and you don't get enough money for the work that you guys do. Mr. Chairman, we have sat down here and looked for money. We know we don't have money, but I have identified the area. And I hope that my colleagues will support me in this thing because I know they wanted to maintain this. But we know there's been duplication of services in the administration. We know that BBMR is in charge of all federal funds and monitoring thereof. We can do without the clearinghouse money at this point. And I will be making an amendment to give that clearinghouse money, the remainder for this fiscal year, to the Mayor's Council, Mr. Chairman, because that is where the work is done. We know the duplication of services at the administration, that they don't have to do that. It's a mandate that BBMR has and continues to do. When Mr. Carlos Camacho came here and testified on what they did, he assured this body that they have been in compliance. They're the ones that seek out the grants for this government and continue to do so. And he said he's been doing so for the past 20 years. So, Mr. Chairman, if we're looking to identify, I've got a bill also that says that we should cut down the CCU. So the remainder of their what they receive on a monthly basis, that alone can give the Mayor's Council $25,000 additional for the remainder of this fiscal year, Mr. Chairman. So that alone will be, I guess, not sufficient, but it bring you closer to accomplishing your jobs alongside the clearinghouse. That funding source be given to the Mayor's Council to accomplish and finish the work that is left undone for months and years because of lack of funding. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I just want to say that I'll be propping up that amendment to do so. Because again, we have the people here that are working, the first responders to anything in our villages, and now they're having to answer to constituents who are having to install the burden of the shutoff valves. and they're having to get the blunt of the criticisms for that. But I just want all you guys to know that Mr. Craddock has resigned too. So anyway, but with that, Mr. Chairman, I want to say that again, in identifying the funds, Mr. Chairman, we have this body had identified that, and I hope my colleagues will agree with me that the clearinghouse funding for the remainder of the fiscal year is much better served to be transferred to the Mayor's Council, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Lund. I do realize that, Senator, you spoke earlier, but I also
understand.
realize that they were not present. So
That's right.
I'm going to allow Senator Munya Barnes the opportunity.
I just, for the sake of time, and I thank all the mayors, Hafide, for being here with us. It's very good to see all our first responders here. And Mr. Chair, if I may, because I know that a lot of the mayors have some concerns based on the 235 reduction that's going to be impacted on each and every one of them. And I really would like to hear their concerns because we asked them to be here, and I know that several of them have already been impacted by the government agencies, the line agencies that have already sent them letters. So if I may, I'd like to use my time to hear what they have to say, if that's all right with you.
Yeah, and the only request I'm going to, as a chair, is obviously there's many mayors here and vice mayors. If we can try to keep, as brief as possible. And again, if you do within 2 or 3 minutes for each mayor, so we can move along expeditiously. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna allow. Should we start age before beauty, or beauty before age, or I will allow you? Why don't we start from the left side?
Can you, Mayor of PD, can you for me for just a minute?
No, because this is very important.
And the only reason why I wanted
wait a minute.
The only reason why I wanted to speak before anybody else, because, I chair the finances and the legislative
I understand
committee.
that, but 1 minute too, because this is very important.
Okay,
extra important.
Okay, let's go outside.
What I want you all to understand, senators, you're not cutting our budget as a mayor. You're cutting the people of Guam's, the community. That's all I want you to understand. Please don't cut any budget from the community. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Why don't we allow, again, the chairman of the finance part of the Mayor's Council.
First off, I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the invitation that you extended to us this afternoon. It was a moment's notice, but being first responders, we get used to being awakened even in the middle of the night. I also want to thank the chairperson for the Mayor's Council, Senator Sasaki. We had a meeting yesterday, and he listened to us. He knows our concern. What I want to say this afternoon, my dear senators, is that our position is that please don't cut us. Please don't cut us. Let's be mindful that the senators, that the Mayor's Council were supposed to have been given $600,000 out of the TAF funds. 600-some thousand. The cut is being proposed for 2.5. And if you take that 600,000, we have not used any of that 600,000. We have not used any of that 600,000. They're asking a reduction of 200-some thousand. That's double that we want to donate back to our people. Okay. Secondly, the president of the Mayor's Council have already kind of just generalized the expenditures, the percentage of expenditures, the appropriation, and things like that. But the real thing here with the mayors is that we have overlapping responsibilities. We have responsibilities to take care of public health problems within our villages. We have responsibilities to take care of problems on the environmental within our villages. We have to take care of problems that deals with public safety, with the police department, with the hospital, with the responses. It's unconscionable if you really visualize the things that we do within our villages. for the last 20 years, I've never seen any funding for capital outlays for the mayors. I've never seen any funding to support our youth in as far as updating our facilities. We dig into our pockets most of the time. We supplement the government. Several months ago, we asked that we charge for the facilities that are being used by our community. Up to this point in time, nothing has come out to really help us supplement some of the finances that we need. And I only ask the senators to really just visualize, because anything that happens within our community falls back on us, falls back on the mayor. And with that, let me just say again that our position is that we are asking, with your hearts and your kindness, please don't cut the mayor's council. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor Terlahi. Mayor Borja.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Koval, and honorable body here. I will be mirroring what most of our mayors saying, except to say that, as for myself, I'm not looking at any particular budget to use for anything. What we do is get the job done and find where we can get the money to pay for it, and even if it includes out of my pocket to get it done. So there's really, as far as I'm concerned, my district, there's really no waste at all. We're really pushing our people, and they're glad to do it. When we get together and say we got to do this, they go out and do it. So cutting their budget is not going to help their morale, and probably will cut down, of course, cut down a lot of the responsibility they have, especially for the safety of the district. I haven't had any yet, and I'm praying that I'll never have anybody die because we did not take care of the roadsides that are pitfalls for the traffic. And I hope to maintain that throughout my administration. And I'll cut this short so the others will talk. Thank you for your consideration for us. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor Blunt.
My dear senators, please help us. Not the mayors, but the people in our district. They need help. We need street lights for safety. We need road repairs. There's a lot of roads there that needs to be repaired. And there's a lot of things. I just came from helping homeless people move to build his shack. And I had to buy out of my pocket 2x4s to help him up. So help with, like the other mayor says, that a lot of these things come from our own pocket, and my wife is killing me. So now I always ask my wife to come and help me do this thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
On behalf of the people of Inaran, I just want to echo or ditto the chairman from Jonia.
Mr. Mayor, you're out of the camera. Can you get a little closer?
Okay. I just want to ditto what our legislative chairman, Mr. George Lai, says. Cutting our budget, at least for Inaran, I'm not too sure you'll find anything there anymore, because we're so proactive in doing our community projects and services. You might not find any in my budget, but please, overall, consider our needs for the community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Buenas, Senor and Senor.
Mayor West.
Chilum, Mayot, and Segudu Mayot. Hansi Tauto Guaham, Malino Natani, Toru Gigi, Ginigi Isla Guaham Gi Tanota Ginigi Talu Gi Hagatnia. Utunga na tungkol sa problema. Este problema hagasa. Hagasa sa manggagi na hagasa man nebu. Todo tempo tasasangan ay hami imayo da sunguru ifanena na responder. Ang patagano na ya hami fenena nai pus polo za hami fenena hasu da hami fenena za kumuti hami na gi ni 19 and village 24 am gini hanzo loke sinedot na tunga na ti 24 hours anzo hami 24 an hour 365 and all those days all those years all those hours all those minutes and seconds we're there for the people our people pues wana problema gini is lapi polo loke tasangan tatafaisin atunga na manayan dyan ani gobyerno ma-propose still ma-suggest hopefully si Mr. Bowie ma-donate mali na asangan si Mr. Bowie donate kineji proposal kung maaso si Mr. Bowie paga liliw na Mr. Bowie if possible help us out and see what you can do for the island of Guam. But again, we gotta realize too that it's not the only one. You are the body, and the governor is Magalahi and Segundo. Si Diyos Masi.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I think I've said too much already.
Thank you. Thank you very much, our former president from Magana Heights, Mayor McDonald. Good afternoon, honorable senators. This feels like a typhoon call for the mayors to come down to the Guam Legislature, and I thank you for calling us on condition 2. And I'm sure that you're all now going to call us back on condition 1 because I'm sure that I have all the faith in this legislature that you would be able to act responsibly with the financial concerns that our island is facing. And I'm sure that let it not be known or let it not be said that the mayors don't want to cut. We've been having meetings. We've had our meeting last week. We had a brief meeting yesterday with our oversight chair, and with the expression that our legislative committee chairman had mentioned, and what we've indicated last week, that we have yet to get a penny from the tourist attraction fund. And if they're looking for 200-some thousand to cut from the mayor's council, we're giving more than 200-some thousand from our hearts. Not even a penny has been spent from that. So perhaps you might want to look into that area. I can tell you this much, that even to this day, our vendors are hurting, yes, indeed. But we have a lot of vendors out there that still have faith in this government. To this day, they're cutting grass in Jigo, even if they know that the budget for the mayors has been frozen, because they know that they can be able to provide that service for the village level. The other areas that I had set forth my program in my village with private companies to come out and take care of the secondary roads that still need repair. Let me just bring you back to Route 15. It already has been completed. I was able to secure the meal materials to take care of secondary roads in the village. With the village street funds, we were able to hire heavy equipment so that we can mobilize this meal material to secondary roads for our people. I've offered Dedido to come and take the ones along Route 15. I've offered Public Works to come and get the remaining. They have that as well. So by the freeze that's happening now, our community continues to be impacted. At the same time, while many are also receiving and has already received repair work for their secondary roads, we still have many out there that has yet to receive. And these are the little things that we try to provide to our community. And with the village street funds being frozen, should you perhaps reduce any more than what is given on the village street funds, you're going to be crippling. We have set programs. We have the summer that's coming upon us. We have the kids that are now held back. I received an email today from the Public Information Officer for the Guam Youth Basketball Association that brings out over 1,500 kids ages 5 to 18 in the summertime to play the game of basketball. And Jigo last year had committed 9 teams. I've committed $5,000 out of the Healthy Futures Funds, or now it's called Public Safety Education Fund. Now that is at a hold because funding has been frozen. Now this is where we are at. We have summer camps that are coming up. You cripple us on summer funding for summer camp. I don't know how the mayors are going to be able to realize having summer camp for our children of Guam. Perhaps there's about 6, if not 7 villages in our community that has aggressively sponsored summer camps. So there are many things that we are, not only are we going to be impacting the office, it's a domino effect out to our children of Guam. So we ask, of course, that if you are to reduce or take away any more money, please stay away from the operations, which we don't have much. Please stay away from the Village Street funds. Please stay away from the Public Safety and Education Fund. Go to the Tourist Attraction Fund because there's 600-some thousand that's there, and you're only asking, or the bill proposal is only asking for 200-some thousand. Sidus Masi, and I think my 3 minutes is up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mayor Lizama. Mayor Tayama.
Good afternoon, Senators, and thank you for this opportunity to appear to you this afternoon. You know, when I received the phone call from the Mayor's Council that they're asking all of us to come down, I was in the middle of talking to Lieutenant Evans from the military, and I told him, I said, you know what, I have to go because this is very important. I want to make sure that I'm asking on behalf of the people of Agate that you look at our budget and please consider not reducing our budget. I know that it wasn't you who suggested this, but you are going to be the ones making that decision, and we are asking, like what all the other mayors have said, there's really nothing to cut from us because we don't have anything. You know, we are out there trying to keep our communities clean, trying to keep our communities safe, and we're doing it with very little funding. Just this morning, the principal of Marshall Sablon called and said, you know, Mayor, they haven't emptied our trash because they don't have a contract anymore. Can you help us? So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I send my people over there, take their trash and take it down to the transfer station. Then they say, you know, Mayor, we're going to have a soccer game. Our field, we need our help with our field. Can you come and mow our grass? We go there and assist. We have been doing that on a regular basis, assisting the Guam public school system. And not only that, even the other schools in the area. When there's a dead dog on the street, we can't just call agriculture because by the time they come, that dead dog is going to be all mashed up. So it's my people, our maintenance staff, who go out there and pick up those dead dogs. I mean, just what else are they asking from us? We do all this for the other agencies. Nimitz Beach hasn't been cleaned for a long time. Who goes there to clean it? Agate Mayor's office. The Acacia Beach, we're the ones that have been doing that on a regular basis, but we don't get compensated for it. But because it reflects on the mayors, of course, they don't know that it's under Parks and Rec. I don't want them to say, oh, the mayor's not cleaning up her village. So I send my staff out there to do it. We have only 5 maintenance people in each of the mayor's offices. I mean, you know, I just want to recommend that if you're going to cut, look at those people that are making $50,000 and above. None of these mayors are making $50,000. None of us. I mean, our salary is so little. When I saw somebody making $75,000, I was so appalled. I mean, my God, $75,000. Can they divide that into 3 so that 3 people can make that salary? That's where you can cut, Senators. Look at those people that are making too much money. I'm sorry to say that, but you know, because we are doing all the work, and that and then they're going to cut the Mayor's Council budget. I just don't understand. So, like I said, on behalf of the people of Agate, please help us, because you're not cutting me; you're cutting the whole community's budget. Thank you.
Mayor Siniclis.
There we go. Thank you. You know, from my left here, everything must have been said, like, you know, before it gets to my side here. You know, the word cut. What is there to cut from us mayors? We don't even have it to cut to start with. So cutting us back, I don't know. Whatever it is, it needs to be cut, you know, do it, because we don't even have it. And like my good mayor down here, stay away. Just stay away from us, period. Simple as that. And I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Siniclis. Mayor Cruz.
Yeah, like the Mayor Asan said, and all my colleagues,
Just stay away from us. That's it.
Mayor Pelican, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Advice. Yeah, the importance I have to share with this body is to recognize the fact that the community is vitally important when we deal with a lot of our functions, especially when we deal with the kids, we deal with the entrance fees. On top of that, everything that goes on regarding also the augmentation. We support all the other agencies that can't come out regarding down to police escorts, even down to fixing roads. Even as we speak, the schools that we have within our community, you got to consider that we didn't even budget for these things in the beginning, but then we take the proactive approach, all these mayors, and we go out and we help our community, our schools that are in our communities, and we're cutting the grass. We're sacrificing the fact that we have to take away our responsibility in the community when it deals with shoulder cleaning, roads, repairs, and all that, and we go into our schools and we take the time to take our budget from our employees' time as well as our gas, the maintenance, and we're doing so many that, and we're taking the proactive approach that we're asking this body that because of the tourist attraction fund that we never received, we've contributed already in terms of sacrificing that site. I know we talked about not talking about it because it's not going to happen, but in reality, we planned out for that budget, but we never received it. We agree. We don't. Okay, we'll do our end and we'll do our best to help out, but we're just asking if you can consider the fact that we do play a vital role in our community. We do keep our communities together, and the effect it's going to have regarding also when things don't happen, the services don't happen, who do they go to? They go to the mayors, the vice mayors, they go to our municipal planning council, and if we don't have the funding that will keep our community active, especially our kids, then what I'm worried about is when they sit idle, then we're really not helping them. We're not, because a lot of our budget goes to paying their entrance fees. We're not even talking about the humanitarian services that we provide too, okay? And there's so many things that is happening in our community, and us mayors, we pull out of our pockets too. We keep what we can in terms of trying to be accountable for our priority as far as spending. But when you don't really have a guideline, and when we just take whatever the community's problems are and we try our best to solve it, we have to sometimes reset our priorities on a day-to-day basis. It's not something that we follow. It's something that when it affects our community, we act on it. We have to sacrifice our budget. We have, like I mentioned about the schools, we're cutting the schools now. That's things that please consider the fact that we are there and we are doing our part to try and make whatever we have to face, whether it be this financial crisis we have facing, that we are responsible regarding trying to see how we can keep our villages active and safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Vice Mayor?
So it was age before beauty, so I'm actually the beautiful one then. I want to thank you, Senators, for asking us to be here today. Again, just on the points, my thing is that in Sinajana we have about $20,000 left over. And when you actually take that 200-some thousand, you divide it, that's $10,000. That means I have $10,000 left for the next 6 months. We're a very active, very proactive village. We have many programs. As you know, we have our Horal Summer Cultural Camp. We have many things that go on there on a regular basis. We've done a lot with so little. And this really just handicaps us. It's sad that, they say education, health, and public safety. Well, we're all three. We are all three. There's no doubt about it. We have after-school programs. We have computer labs we're trying to do. And the business community's been really good, but we wish it would be better. And a lot of the facilities we have, I've been there for the last 30, 40 years, have never had an upgrade or a facelift. A coat of paint doesn't do anything to the electrical system. So, that on top of that, and then again, if we should be faced with a disaster, I spent about $2,000 mobilizing it, getting equipment, moving things, clearing trees and drainage systems in this typhoon, and I just hope nothing happens in the next 6 months because I will have no more money. and I don't know where to take that from. And I don't want to shut the mayor's office down. I don't want to stop the services. I don't want to have to close the center and say, kids, I'm sorry, but I have to make sure we have enough money to pay our power bill so the Manumco can have something. So, I mean, it's really hard for us. But, you know, when other agencies come up, and I've been watching this, it's, you know, they really defend certain things, and there's things we're ended up doing. I got a memo 2 weeks ago from public health saying we're no longer doing environmental health problems. Here you go, Mayor. Here's the complaints we received for your village. Please look into it. They're the residents' address. We won't give you their name, but here are their addresses. And so I've been doing that. I've been following up on stray dog and stray animals for animal control. So that's something I didn't even know. And this memo was dated since 2002, but they're really enforcing it now because they have no money. So, like we said, we're multiplying all the agencies that decide they can't do that job anymore. They give to the mayors. And, you know, their biggest thing is we have 15,000 businesses and so many inspectors, so we can't inspect everything. So mayors, you got it. They're in your village, you do it. And then we have to check on Catholic social services things with our sick and elderly and bedridden and making sure they're okay. So there really is, we are education, health, and public safety. That alone, I mean, I've never, in my job description, when I read the law, what a mayor and vice mayor does, I'm like, oh, that needs to be rewritten because we do a lot more. And it's not something that, you know, no one really knew what they were getting into. I mean, I thought it was going to be, it's going to be a pretty good job. It's a lot harder than it looks. And I really feel for that Island Leadership Day that's coming up, because I'm going to really take those kids out and say, let's go. We're going to pick up a dead cat, paint a bus stop, and try to catch some vandals. So those are things we do regularly. So that's all I have to say is please don't affect my summer program and the rest of my year.
Okay, thank you very much, Vice Mayor. And thank you very much, Tina Mooney Barnes, Rose Mooney Barnes. And with that, I'd like to go to the Oversight Chair for the Mayors, Senator Frank Ishizaki.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome, mayors, and thank you for joining us. My three colleague mayors, we had a long meeting yesterday. We won't talk about what we talked about, but I think we're on the same page, and there's no question in my mind the importance of your mission and your jobs and the importance of keeping your budget at where it should be, because I know that's way, way short of what it should be. For instance, in the Tourist Attraction Fund, I talked to all of you, and there are problems in getting those funds to you. So perhaps you can comment on the TAF problems you have and why that's a shortfall for you, and then I'll respond to the fee question.
Sure. On the last budget bill, they did put in an appropriation for $630,000, but we needed to come up with a beautification plan that got approved by the board of directors. Who really there's a big problem because what we see as beautification and what they see as beautification is very different. So we couldn't see eye to eye, and we didn't agree with their proposal. They came up with their proposal. We didn't agree with it because it really tied our hands and telling us, and the biggest thing was, you expect me to plant flowers in a place, but my village is falling apart. The people are going to think we're crazy. So, you know, let's fix our village and our centers and our facilities first before we go and start to beautify things, because really the people are not going to know where that money came from, but we do. But there's what can we say? So we haven't agreed on the plan, so we haven't spent a dime from the $600,000 appropriation, and that's something what we've been doing for beautification. We've been augmenting that with our VSF funds. Things we would normally spend on TAF money, we've been using our village street funds, our operations funds to contract the grass cuttings and the medians, to paint things, to do from anti-graffiti to just all sorts of things. So that's where that money, we haven't touched that money at all. And that's something we hope that we can say, hey, you know, either relieve the restrictions on it and give it to us so we can spend it. Because, I mean, on the other cases, take the $200,000 and give us the $600 of the TAF, and we'll be more than happy to do it. We'll be more than happy to work. We'll get to work.
And certainly those are points worth considering, and we'll try to, I'll talk to the chair on it offline to see where we can go with that. And on the fees, I do have an amendment which we'll propose at the tail end of our process, Mr. Chair, to handle the questions and requests from the mayor. So for joining us, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you very much, Senator Ishizaki. Senator Judy Guthertz.
Buenos Mayors, and thanks for coming down, and thank you for your sacrifices. You know, I was extremely disappointed when I had heard through the media that there was some sort of freeze on your funds. You folks are not children, you're elected officials, you have a mandate from the people to undertake your duties in your villages. And what you do affects every resident in your village. And I can understand the governor's office wants to be conservative and try to save as much money as possible, but you're elected officials and you know what you need in your community. And by putting up additional bureaucratic steps for you to get your money, I think it's extremely unfair. From what I understand, and please correct me if I'm wrong, for you to access your funds, you have to make a request in writing to your executive director, who, by the way, is your employee, correct? Yes. And then your executive director, who's a great fellow, by the way, then he has to bring forth your request to BBMR, to DOA, to get processed. Isn't there something, in Spanish and Tagalog we call it baliktad? Isn't there something backward there, where you have to write a memo to your executive director and then he has to bring it forward? Am I right? Isn't that kind of protocolish, kind of awkward? Okay, so that's the first mistake. Someone in Adelup who came up with that idea doesn't understand protocol and put your executive director in a very uncomfortable position. Sort of like to receive and approve your request and to bring it forward to the governor's office and this and that. That's wrong. You shouldn't have to go through that. You don't get a lot of money to begin with. And I'm amazed that you're able to do what you do with what you receive. And I'm going to stand with my colleagues here and ensure that your budget is not cut. I will speak as hard as I can against any cut to your budget. There is one area that I'd like to implore your assistance with. And this affects every village because, as you know, the senators visit the villages for different activities, and we also live in the villages. I have seen a growing problem in our community, and I'm sure my colleagues have also seen it. We now have full-blown slumlords on Guam. Slumlords that buy property at distressed values and turn around and rent this property to people who have very little means. They exploit these people who are poor, and these slumlords, I don't even want to call them landlords, they don't maintain the property that they buy in foreclosures and then turn around and rent to poor people. What do you need as mayors to clamp down on slumlords? What can we give you? What powers can we give you to get these folks in line so they stop disrespecting our villages and our communities? Please tell me, because I want to introduce legislation to give you the power to clamp down on those landlords, which I call slumlords, who are exploiting poor people and exploiting the communities where they have their properties by not keeping their facilities clean, by not following the laws, the public health laws, the environmental laws, the sanitation laws, and everything else. Can you give me some guidance? Yes.
When I ran this last election and I got shot right in the battlefield, one of my platform was to give the mayors municipal authority. Authority to evict somebody who is being disorderly within our districts, who is influencing our youth to commit crimes or to use drugs. Give us the municipal authority to not only to evict, but to go to the owner of a household and say, if you don't clean this area, we will remove you from that district. I know that might be unconstitutional, but the thing is, give us that authority to at least go there and inform the individual that if they don't do what we want them to do, that we can impose a fine or something like that.
Okay. That's what I want to hear, Mayor Tarahi, because it's terrible. And some of us have experienced this. I know my mayor is very much aware of this. In the case I'm familiar with, I have communicated with the department, the Environmental Protection Agency. I've communicated with Public Health. I communicate with the Attorney General's office because of numerous violations. I can't get anything done. My neighbors are frustrated. People in other villages are frustrated. It's getting worse because what's happening is these slumlords are going around and they're buying foreclosed apartments, fourplexes usually, and they're converting them into very, very poorly managed facilities and renting to people who can't even qualify for Section 8 housing. So they're not meeting standards, and they're taking advantage of poor people, and they're hurting the communities because they're not maintaining their facilities. You know, ultimately it results in an economic decline in the value of real estate, but it also hurts the communities. It makes you feel terrible, you know. It makes people feel terrible. So we need a way to be able to force these landlords to meet their responsibilities to the community. The government of Guam is not doing its job enforcing any of the laws. You just said that our Vice Mayor for Sinihanya said that he's been informed by the Guam Environmental Protection Agency or the Public Health. They're not going to enforce environmental health laws, and they expect you to do it? This is what I'm talking about. I took photographs. I brought this to their attention. They ignored me. How much more are you folks? So I want to empower you. I want to give you the power to warn, to find these slumlords, and to require them to maintain their property and to treat their tenants with some degree of respect.
And let us be also part of the protocols. For example, yes. Senator.
Yes.
You know, I've been asking DPW to include the mayors of those districts to be part of the protocols because, for example, a contractor would go into our village and cut across that road and excavate it, and then they don't put out. Yep. They don't put the asphalt back like it was in the beginning. Okay. So that thing falls back on us. That's an expense for us.
Okay. Well, I'd like to invite the mayor. I'd like to hear from also Vice Mayor Hoffman, but I'd like to invite the mayors. Please help me develop this legislation. You tell me what you need in the legislation. I will introduce it. I know my colleagues will support it. We need accountability in all areas of the community, but we need to hold landlords accountable for the condition of their complexes and to ensure that they abide by community standards. And you folks are at the front line. You folks can enforce it. No one else in this government wants to do that, but I know the mayors will not be afraid. You know, it got so bad that, you know, we even have dog thievery in the villages, right? You know that, mayors. One of my dogs was stolen, and by the grace of God, I got that dog just before it was going to be killed and eaten. Because I went around my community to find that dog. I went all over, and they said, oh, no, we never saw the dog. Well, I finally found a way to find the dog, and when I got to the dog had been chained. It had a rope around its neck. Somebody had already been sticking it with a knife. And I got the dog just before it was going to be slaughtered. And at that place, and it wasn't visible on the street, at that place in the back, there was a pile of burnt dog carcasses and dog bones. You need to be empowered so you can get that stuff stopped and that we can act and live properly on our island. Yes, Mr. Hopper.
I think the proper way to address it would be the expanding of our the ability to give citations. We have yet to receive the training on trash violations, but that would be something to include building safety, and because building maintenance and the safety that Public Works does, when we notice a structure that's unsafe, we tell them it takes 3 or 4 years. They go to the landlord, they go to the AG. I mean, it took 3 or 4 years. I still have a case. That's one that I inherited. But building safety and environmental citations is something that, I mean, I don't mind doing it. I'm not sure with the colleagues, but it is. And they say, oh no, you're not going to enforce it because it's political. No. they respect us more because we do our job. Your complaint to environmental health probably ended up in one of these mayor's desks. I got 3 complaints in the last so many weeks, all from extending from 2006. They're like, oh, we looked in our records, this wasn't resolved, can you check on this? Look in the records. So your complaint is probably going to be faxed to one of these mayors to check on this resident that you say is the slumlords. But that's one way to solve the slumlords, is to get us the power citation, to cite them for either poor standards of living, because some places don't have doors. I mean, I know residents in the other areas there, they call it the ranch, but they live there 24/7.
Well, I'll give you one example. It got so bad that the Catholic Church on my street put up a fence around the church. First time in 30 years they ever did that. And I know Mayor Bloss is aware of this. My heart was broken to see that. The Catholic Campus Ministry put up a fence around it to separate itself from the slum next to it. It's terrible. But I will work with you, and I want to ask the Mayor's Council through the President, you developed the legislation. What do you need to be empowered to make sure that everyone in the community respects the community, including the landlords? And if you want to call the bill to stop slumlords and slumlord practices, I like that title. I'll support it.
Thank you, Senator Guthertz. I like that thought. I mean, that's kind of something that we have to start at home. We have a big problem with the Chamorro Land Trust squatters. Jigo has quite a lot of situations like that. And there are instances that they have, of course, outsiders that are coming in that are non-Chamorros that are residing in Chamorro Land Trusts. So I think we have to start with that. And then teeth it with the private landlords, because I'm presently working on a case right now where it's a landlord-tenant relation that's a problem. I've yet to even come to a conclusion on that case, but yes, I think there are some ordinance that needs to be in place to tighten the landlord business that's going on the island. Perhaps maybe I'd like to be part of this roundtable discussion to come up with ideas, that would help this, because I have quite a lot of landlords up in the village of Jigo. So I think this is the way to go to make things better, because there are quite a lot of problems up in the community. And yes, you're right. If there's anything that the law can allow for enforcement, or at least give the mayors more teeth to actually work on these particular enforcements, I think that if that's what's necessary, I think that what needs to be in place.
Senator, even if you give us the power and the policy matter, the important thing is physical. I think we need a policeman in our own office. Each mayor's office should have one policeman. That will encourage or discourage the other party from being like us mayor. I could go to certain places. I cannot do anything because they look at me that I don't have any authority. But having a policeman right next to me, they'll say amen to you. That's very important. So please help us on that. Hopefully that we'll have one policeman in each mayor's office. Thank you.
Yes, Senator. I guess it all has to start from the top, and we really need to sit down and plan out a lot of these fees that we talked about. There's so many things that is encumbered into the community. There's so many laws that we need to review, update, that even as far as any project going into a community, they're supposed to be informing the mayor or vice mayor 5 days prior to that project starting. After it's completed, that's when we find out it's there. And this is just an example of how all the laws that we have to revisit. We have to, as far as government agencies, directors, we have to hold them accountable for things that are happening and letting us know exactly what's going on, because the bottom line is when the problem starts happening, we are the ones that got to go out and fix it. Good example on Route 8, when they dug the shoulder, they left right in the center going into Carbolito School on this highway. and I'm pretty sure you probably ran it over it a couple of times, is that whoever the contractor was never finished the job. And now who's getting the calls? Who's the ones now got to take their cold mix, hot mix, and go and repair it? Because I've been working with Larry, and he's trying to do his best to get that done. But the bottom line is whoever was the contractor for that project was not held responsible when they signed off on that bond that was given. This happened about maybe 5 years ago. And up to this date, that project hasn't been completed. Residents always have to bypass that area to avoid that, it's like actually like a bump that was dug by the contractor but never covered and replaced back to its original surface where it's safe for our residents, it's safe for the motorists. So all these things we can talk about, it's just, it's time that we sit down really, look at the laws that are governing us as well as our responsibility, match the funding, look at exactly how directors have to be accountable for whatever projects go into our community, whether it be through health, safety, even when we deal with civil defense regarding also, typhoon situations. You've heard the complaints that us mayors were the last to be notified about a tsunami, last to be notified about the condition we're in. But yet, who's out there manning the village on standby? Our staffs. We have to go to split shifts. We have to be there to make sure that our residents are safe. We have to be out there during the storm, even on condition 2, even condition 1. When a resident calls saying they need to be evacuated, we're the first responders. But yet, when you really look at the way things are handled in terms of our responsibility and our sacrifices, going out there and risking our staff's lives, what do we have as far as any funding that goes to help support us, the tools we need to do the job? I have a GSA truck that I can't rely on. That probably is one of the trucks I got to go out and try and help our residents if they need help. So when you really look at the responsibility, when you really look at the budget we have, when you really look at the short manpower that we have, and I'm just speaking for my community in Barragata, it being the 5th largest village. It really is sad to say that we even have to use our own POVs to go out and help. And these things we do because we care for our community, but we really want to be more efficient and more effective. Thank you.
Well, I won't prolong this other than to say that, I'm proud of the mayors. I respect the mayors, and I want to help empower the mayors. And one area of course, great concern to many, many people out there is this emergence of deteriorated environments. And the sad thing about it is that, our people work hard to maintain their homes. They try to keep things presentable. And I'm not talking about elaborate things, just normal maintenance. People keep their homes nice, their environment nice. And then just a few others will spoil it for the sake of money. Exploiting poor people, not maintaining the property as a landlord, and then everybody suffers. So I will look forward, Mayor Cevarros, to hear from the mayors. Give me your input. What do you want to include in this empowerment law to give you power, authority to have a fine that you control, and the monies that you fine these violators go back to the village for your projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gutherts. Senator Simmons? Oh, he's not. Senator Blas, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'd like to go back to something that was brought up, actually, and Vice Mayor Hoffman just kind of concerns me here, and I agree with you. And I remember having this discussion with my mayor, my village. Before I go into that, Mayor Pudel, if you kick anybody out of your village, make sure they don't come to my village, okay? But the TAF funds, and it kind of disturbs me that you said that there was an impasse with regards to what the mayors would feel money's best use, the beautification money's best use, as opposed to what they felt was best use. And I agree with you totally that you ladies and gentlemen up there know what's best in us, how to beautify, our villages. I think I remember there was a conversation once that I think it was with in my mayor's office in the municipal planning council. They wanted us to plant a flower that was poisonous, not taking into consideration the safety concerns of our kids. And I have a big problem with that. But also the problem is of the $630,000 that was appropriated, or that was through the TAF, you haven't received a cent?
No, because whatever, and there's no real. Their method is we go ahead and spend the money, send our invoices to them. They will decide if it's kosher or not kosher, and if it's not, I end up with the bill. Not the government of Guam. I end up with the bill. So none of us want to go spend a dime because we were expecting the money to be transferred to the mayor's council, and then from there, because like Senator Guthrie said, we're all adults here, and we're elected, and we're accountable to our people, and our director and our AA there at our office can really help us there and to sort it out. But I asked, do I need to get permission when I buy a trash can? Yes. Do I need permission if I'm going to buy lawn fertilizer? Yes. So the fact that I have to go back every single time to up to $30,000, because that's what it came down to, $30,000 per district, it was ridiculous. So they said, no, we'll do certain bathrooms. Well, I can't see taking a tourist down to one side, say, just keep looking right, don't look left because it's really ugly, but look right because that bathroom's really pretty. I could not fathom that. So we mayors agreed, let's divide it equally, but they didn't agree with it. They wanted certain target areas done, so we just outright rejected their proposal. And on top of that, they even set aside $30,000 to have someone oversee the mayors in their tourist projects. So that's another level. That's somebody to tell me how to do my job, and I don't need that person.
Okay, now it's kind of concerning here because I'm looking over Public Law 28150, and there's nothing here that's basically spells out that GVB has to tell you how to run. That it's supposed to be an agreement that they're, So I want to open this up, Mayor Lozano.
Thank you, Senator. There's one section there.
Point of information, Mr. Chair. Yeah, there is in Public Law 28150. The line reads: the Guam Visitors Bureau shall not release any funds from the appropriation to the Mayor's Council until project plans are reviewed and approved by the Council and the GVB Board. Yes. So it's right there. Yeah. Which I totally disagree with.
I agree. I totally disagree with this language too. So,
and if I may, Senator Blas, there's another section there that we have our public auditor. We voted for a public auditor. The legislature mandated that we have a public auditor. We have our certifying officer in the Mayor's Council. Why do we need another bureaucratic process to check off on the financial expenditures that the funding or the amount that is going to be paid to the employee that is picked up by GVB for this, to oversee this program, can be better spent giving to the mayors? If it's going to be appropriated at $35,000 per annum, if that's what I correctly read, or $30,000, I'm sure that can be rather used elsewhere amongst all the districts in the island. So that's where I also, was concerned about that particular. And there's many other reasons why that we did not want to even bother spending. And we also submitted our request to the speaker to take a look at perhaps having this thing revisited and change the verbiage of the law. In that way, get it all amended to the likes of the Mayor's Council and how we can best serve that particular process.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Chair, I just want to bring that up as point of information too, with regards to the ability of the mayors and the vice mayors, in the villages, to be able to recognize, how best to clean and how best to beautify their villages, and if anything, is for one very specific reason. They live in the areas that they work, so they know day in and day out what is right for their village. So, and that concerns me. and thank you for I had to do some research on this thing too. Going back to another concern, it's way out. I mean, I know it's way out of order here with regards to discussion on the budget, but in looking at even some of the duties and responsibilities of the mayors, I think that with regards to Section 41120 of the duties and responsibilities of the mayors, you do have the right to cite individuals' homes already that have unsafe, and so if it takes additional legislation or what is it that we're going to need so that we can help to bolster that. So
we
you
just
can do
haven't
that.
gotten trained. The training aspect of this is the court's supposed to show us how. They're too busy, they're doing something else, so it's really getting down. And the time they give us, it really can't accommodate. They can't expect us to sit for 8 hours for so many days straight through and then forget about our village and focus on that. So really accommodate our schedule. Were it to be nighttime or broken down to certain hours, or that's the kind of thing we would need, is accommodate our schedules as well. Be mindful of what we do in our villages, because really when they say, oh, you all need to attend, I'm sorry, you're not going to get every single person there because we have a lot of things to do already. So getting the training, the actual citation training is the key part.
And I think this is, a point well taken here would be, because once you do get that training, right now we're going through this whole exercise because we need to find out how we can save money. And this is a great way of being able to help to save money, but also, more importantly, is to become efficient in our services. And so, thank you. And I'm looking through this thing, and maybe I can talk offline with Vice Mayor and Mr. Mayor, on how to be able to help you and move this one forward, because it's a cost-saving measure that, you're already trying to do, you want to do, and you're not asking for additional money, yet there's going to be some cost savings and there's going to be a help to the people of Guam. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, mayors and vice mayors, for being here.
Thank you, Senator Blas. I'd like to recognize the mayor of my village of Tumuning, Mayor Blas, Frank Blas. Senator Shimizu, you're recognized. Yeah.
But I'll yield to my good chair, and then go ahead, sir, and then because I'm going to ask if I'm going to be rude. Okay, then he goes. Thank you very much. And,
former Tumuning boy.
Thank you,
recognize.
thank you. That's Jesus Masi, and again, mayors, thank you for coming down at a very short notice. I want to give the credit for having you come down to my esteemed colleague, Senator Roy, because he and I were talking about the fact that you are all elected officials, and here's a budget that was submitted over here by the governor. The governor submitted over a budget to our good chair, and he's making the cuts. So when you guys say leave us alone, we're really the ones that maybe you want to have alone, because we're not the one that's cutting your budget. So if anybody that you should direct that to, and that brings me to that question: did the mayors or their representative discuss with the Fiscal Policy Committee your budget and where you're going to be cut? Did you have that kind of input and agreed to this piece of legislation? Was there consultation and with to let you know that they're going to cut you 2.5 and it was okay because he transmitted the bill, or did you guys say no, it's not okay, but he still went ahead and transmitted the bill? I'll wait for the answer.
Yeah, Senator, if I may go ahead and respond to your question, because actually the proposal by the administration to cut the mayor's council by 2.5%, or about 235,000, was actually a surprise to us, shock to us. We were not given a heads up as to we're looking at this possibility, and it was pretty much by the time I saw what the administration was doing, that draft legislation had already made its way to the legislature for possible introduction. So as far as the administration is concerned, as far as the mayors are concerned and the vice mayors, we were not asked if this is something that we could deal with should there have to be a cut in the 2007 budget.
Yeah, because we all know about the financial conditions of the government, and we're all in the same boat, but it appears that certain passengers in that boat are not consulted, and that's the elected leaders of the the village level, the grassroots levels, the front liners, and just maybe a little question separate, and it might be just customs and tradition, but why do we have oversight over you as an elected member? You're accountable to the voters of your districts.
You know, Senator, the only response I have to that is that because the Mayor's Council falls under the executive branch of government, we are not a fourth branch. So the fact that we are under the executive branch, whatever the executive branch decides to do with appropriations with those agencies under that branch, I believe that's why we are included.
I was talking about our branch. We have oversight over you.
You have oversight? Well, we have a committee oversight. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. I just got elected after leaving for 12 years, and then you just got elected. I mean, you guys are elected leaders, and I'm not sure if I have oversight or control over you because you answer to the constituents, and oversight seems to say you're going to answer to us. Yeah, and I say that because I want to respect what you guys are saying by saying leave us alone in this round. And I said earlier, maybe we have to thank Senator Roy for saying, hey, let's bring in the mayors and let's hear from them, because this is the same thing as another branch of government, that at least the consultation in terms of and participation in terms of you looking at where you could cut rather than just doing what I call a 2.5 meat cleaver approach in cuts and not hearing yourself. So I'm very glad to be able to hear that. And I want to respect you as an elected leader of the village, you know. So with that, I want to ask another question, and then I'll ask if I'm going to rule myself out of order. We're here, and we have an agreement proposed earlier that we're going to go to every single entity, instrumentality of this government, and look at first of all, the governor's cut. The governor's cut of 235,000 plus, it comes up to 2.5. Once we do all of that, the good chair would then come back and we'll look because whether we need to cut more. And we need to look at that and don't go necessarily to a meat cleaver approach. We got to do this with surgical precision to make sure that we try to be able to not impact the citizens to the extent that it would be a threat to our health and safety. Okay, so let me ask this question. The mayors, do you consider yourself part of tourism? Do you consider yourself, do we not promote the island of Guam as tourism? And just keep saying amen when I go through this, and then at the end, okay? I, like my former colleagues in the days, I'm trying to lay the foundation upon which I might be ruled out of order. So we promote the island of Guam and its culture and its village and its beauty. And, you know, we do have a lot to be able to clean up or enhance our image. And I really want to thank the mayors, and I've said this even during the campaign, that I want to be able to see how I can give more of the resources to the people who really go out and make our beautiful, not only for the quality of life that I live in and you live in, but mas para ibisita. Man binadoso it na kumumunitu ilugar pes lo man mamalo it and kalanti malik, right? So you really do play a major role, right? Because when we do go overseas and we promote the island, we can take maybe the best pictures of certain spots that we want, but when the people who come here may look at the whole island as itself and said the promotion does not necessarily reflect some of the things that are occurring. So if indeed you say that, and I agree, that you're part of tourism, promoting the parts that makes the whole, right? And any one part that doesn't look good, it's just kind of a blemish on any picture, right? So, you have a representative at the Guam Visitors Bureau, and who is there? Okay. Now, I heard earlier, I had to step out to take a phone call. Is there any monies that you guys can access to the $23,100,000 in the Tourist Attraction Fund through the Guam Visitors Bureau?
We already have an appropriation of $600,000. They did that last year, and they did it this year. But this year we haven't. Last year there was no bureaucracy on it. This year there's all those layers of what we have to do, and so.
And are those bureaucracies and red tape that you're going through as a result of the first 600,000? I mean, when you first got it and you was moving, then they say, "Oh, there's no accountability. This time we're going to put all this."
The thing last year is that.
Can I answer that question?
Go.
Okay, I was president at that time when
600,000.
Yes, the fiscal year, the FY
2006.
Yes, 2006. It was okay. It was at that time the way the bill or the law was written was okay. We had no problems, but because they foresee that the projection of TAF was on a reduction, they wanted to limit us and program as they receive funding from Tourist Attraction Fund. That was the main purpose. But again, there was nothing wrong with the previous
setup.
Yes, the previous budget or the way it was. But I believe that they had actually came up with that idea so that they control the funding as they collect it, right?
And with the 2006 appropriation, we didn't even spend $160,000 of that. We actually, as mayors, that got returned to the TAF because, I mean, we did what we felt was good. Some built bathrooms. I know Jigo built a restroom for their baseball field, right? Yes. We were able to renovate our sports facilities. So it was really written that you can improve the quality of life. Now they really said it. We give you the idea of beautification. I said, is lawn ornaments beautification? They said, no. I said, it is to me. But, I was using an example. They said, no, specifically for this. I said, our Village Street Fund already funds us to cut the roads and everything. So this is one way that we could use to help our facilities. And so it was always a discussion back and forth. So we did return in fiscal year 06 $160,000. And in this year, we have not received a penny.
But the $600,000 is appropriated by this body, signed by the governor?
Yes.
And as the former speaker had mentioned.
Right, I missed it earlier.
Yes.
So is the verbiage by statute that regulates the outflow of the 600,000?
Yes. That's the problem.
By law?
Yes, and that's what we asked. We actually have a legislation that would we actually introduced it and gave it, that would change it, that would amend it, so it frees it up and puts the money in our account, so we're free to spend it without going to this getting approval, and getting
Mr.
the board.
Mayor, who did you give that proposed legislation to? Is it for within the 29th or?
We gave it to the speaker, sir.
Within the 28th or 29th?
Both.
Okay, so maybe my suggestion, not to micromanage you, that if there are proposed legislations, you can give it to whoever you want to. But maybe CC some of the others, because I made that a campaign promise, that I wanted to look at how I can get the mayors to be able, especially on some of the capital improvement public works, to get it, and in other words, start decentralizing it, rather than centralizing the resources and the power of the revenues, to decentralize it to you. So if you have a copy of that, you might want to
sure, we'll send you a copy tomorrow.
Decentralize the copy so that we'll all know that, because it's been one of my platforms, and the mayors that I've talked to when I went around was, I wanted to centralized government, to bring it down to the municipal level government. So that just kind of reminds me of the bureaucracy that was being arranged between the chief of staff of the governor's office and yourself, the staff, that you have to submit to your staff, and he has to attach and then submit it forth. this is similar to that, and I would recommend that maybe you can pursue that, because I'm going to ask my good chair, would I be out of order to make a motion, an amendment to be able to reduce the tourist attraction fund by the amount of 235,907, and later on, when the rules of engagement, they say I can only cut, right? I can only cut. And then later on the rules of engagement, when we come back, that's when we can start looking at. But if you already have the 600,000, and we don't have to do any additional cuts on TAF, just to, what they say, bureaucracy busting. Let's bust the bureaucracies, because you know how much money it costs in time? Add up the time. Time is money. You know? How much you're paying just to do all of this paperwork, eventually it costs money. So, gentlemen, my motion would be at the appropriate time, because I don't think we're dealing with TAF now here. It's only general fund. He's already going to rule me out of order. But that's okay. I'll be disorderly in the proper way to rule myself disorder. But I think if you have the 600,000, you return back 160,000, you were prudent in your spending, maybe the key here is that 2.5 cuts by this governor without consultation to the mayors. Esta no naiti taza respeto malingo lutalo. So if you, Mr. Mayors, if you want, you can, we're still be in session, you might want to send that in, because it's still a budgetary and address that, and that should relieve the 600,000.
We'll send you the copy of the bill tomorrow.
Send everybody here. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've already ruled myself. Thank you.
Can I clarify this first? Because you mentioned something about the 160,000 from the previous 2006 budget that we returned to DVB. Okay, are you saying that 160,000 would be credited towards the 2.5%?
No. What I'm saying is that I understand that you have an additional 600,000. Don't go yet, Mayor Robert. 600,000 this year. The problem with it is how to get at it, how to access to it, how to be able to remove some of those and get it back to where Mayor McDonald had, where there was not a problem with opening that funding. So in other words, I think what's happening is that the bureaucracies that were legislated was just really to frustrate it. That's it. And then on top of that, they cut you without consultation. And Senator Roy says, whoa, napara naza, malata agang alam isti. Because you are all elected leaders, and I must respect that. Just like I respected the governor's office and the judicial's office in what they felt they need. But likewise with the elected mayors. So.
But Senator will send you a copy of that.
Send everybody.
Our recommendation.
Send everybody too. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Senator Simazu. Vice Speaker Calvo, you recognize.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I just want to ask a question. I know Vice Mayor Hoffman mentioned about the training for citations, and I left the room for us. I don't know whether you answered that question or other senator asked the question. What needs to occur? I do know, because the law was passed several years ago, and I'd love to see the mayors move forward in citations for for garbage that is dumped somewhere.
I think it's just a matter of accommodating our schedules. We did put in requests, but they want a full class. They want everybody there. And it's the formal training that So that's what it is. It's really trying to accommodate our schedule. But it's Superior Court. I have the books. I have all the manuals.
Yeah.
Just don't have the training for it, and I don't want to go out and write something and lose a case on something. So that's what it would be: is asking the court to really come out and do that for us.
Yeah. So is there a process now? Are you moving forward in getting, because you folks are the ones, I tell you, I get so upset when I see these garbage at the side of the road. You folks have actually been the ones that have been playing the role of Parks and Rec and DPW for so many years. And I'd like to have you have that, have the hammer behind you, so now that you could enforce the law. So where are you at this point? I'd love to see this move forward in this thing.
Senator, we have a couple of well-trained former police officers. And all that we need to do is get that regular traffic citation. And we can train the mayors and the vice mayors on that and get the section on littering on the Guam code or the motor vehicle code, I believe, is under. And that's all that needs to be done.
Okay.
What the old law is saying is that we need to go before a formal training that needs to be sponsored by GCC in coordination with the court.
Yeah.
That's the old law. But if we can change that law and just require, Bob Lizama used to be a training officer. I used to be a training officer. And we can train.
Mr. Mayor, that's why I'm the author of the law. I want to see it. So if there's changes that need to be done on the enabling, that was the bill that I introduced and had passed into law. I want to give you that power. So if there's something that needs to be done in the language of the current statute, I'm all ready and willing. And heck, we can even make that change later on in this budget bill.
Yeah, what it is also the training that we did receive was litter only.
Yeah.
And leash law. And although we're able to do so much, they only were able to, so we only were able to coordinate the two. And it's really encompassing it all, like I say, accommodating the schedule. 5 mayors did receive the training. I'm pretty sure 5 did go, but also you have some
a uniform
mayors,
and a badge.
Yeah, so the hard part was that most mayors, also some mayors felt that they didn't want to give the citation to.
Yeah.
I mean, we have that are willing, but, the citations that I want to issue is not what's being offered.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, from parking violations. I mean, like Senator Ishizaki said, they were able to train people to handle for disabilities parking, and they were able to train them. Same thing, really offer us everything that we can, accommodate the schedule, and say, here's the classes, but, that sort of thing is just accommodating our schedules, because I know that some of mayors couldn't make it because of funerals, off-island schedules, and just a lot of things. And we only get 2 weeks, 3 weeks notice. And
I'm willing to, again, when we're off, and again, there's later portions of this bill. I'm not too sure about expanding, but at least for the areas that you have already the authority to offer give citations towards. If there's something again in the bureaucratic process that needs to be cleaned up, and if it's an issue now because GCC it just hasn't working through GCC, and maybe having it fee gratis through judiciary, I have no problem with that. So again, maybe we can work on this language later on in fact, now or in the next few days, so that I can maybe offer an amendment in this budget bill that could simplify the process. I just want to give you those tools. And again, I'd like to work with you after, in the next few days. I do want to congratulate you folks. When I drive around this island, and I do see that the sides of the road where the shoulders they're cut and the garbage has been picked up. This island actually has cleaned up over the past few years. We have the author. I want to congratulate the author who created the VSF fund, and the VS from Barragata. The VSF fund was created many years ago, but again, originally it was going into Department of Public Works. And when those appropriations were going to Public Works, obviously things weren't happening, and we were having the issues of this again. The sides of the road, the trees were growing. The Tangentongan was there, right there at the shoulder, and you had all this again. Whether it's a dead animal or garbage, it was at the side of the road. What's happened over the past few years is that the money has gone from control of the governor and line agencies such as DPW, but what was brought over to the mayors. And obviously, with you mayors, you are the ones that hear the complaints when things are not in order in your village. So when those funds were transferred to your authority, you've used them and you used them well. I've seen this island clean up. As we move forward in this process, if we look at a model that seems to be working, maybe that's something that we need to now emulate as we look through. It's going to be tough, by the way. We're having some extreme budget shortfalls, but maybe there are things that we can do where monies are already appropriated to certain agencies, and if these agencies just aren't providing the service, move those money or those resources over to you folks, and even maybe less money appropriated, but maybe even with less money appropriated, but if those money and resources are going to you folks, maybe the job will get done, because it's happened with the VSF. You talk about Parks and Rec, and you look at some of our parks right now. You have become de facto Parks and Rec, and as well as de facto in other agencies. And this is something I want to study over not only this revised FY07 budget, but also moving forward in FY08 in the future. But I don't know if I can tell some of you want to comment on that. What I'm going to do is work as I've always been an advocate for you folks, and I want to continue empowering you. And it's of course difficult now because we have shrinking resources. But if we are to take those shrinking resources and reapportion them to maybe agencies that can get the job done more efficiently, and it appears that whenever we give something to the mayors, even less than what was given to line agencies, more seems to get done. And I like to try to work on that formula. So again, if there's any other ideas that you may have, and again, whether it's in areas that you've somehow become de facto, then I'm willing to have an open mind and willing to work on certain recommended amendments to current laws, as well as appropriation budgets or budget laws to assist in providing increased quality of services, but again, also increased responsibilities, but resources to the mayors as well.
And I think on the responsibility side too is we're still working on the 1998 village road mileage thing, and our villages have expanded and grown. So we are doing more with the same amount that's appropriated every year. We have more subdivisions and more new roads opening, and the mileage inventory hasn't been updated. We gave our submissions to Public Works, and I know it's going to be an increase, but that just shows that despite that, the growth of our villages, we've maintained it with what we have. So we're really doing, again, more with less, and we just keep going as our villages expand. We just keep cutting those areas.
Okay, and I just want to remind you, there's not too many agencies left, and once we've dispensed with this portion of the bill, we're going to move in a lot of other areas. So I'm going to request for you, again, I'm asking your assistance. Let's work together in certain amendments, again, on the citations, what needs to be tweaked there. Again, if there's any other recommendations you have, I'm willing to work with you on that, okay? Thank you.
Speaker Braglin, before I recognize you, can I give the Mayor of Tamuning an opportunity to say a few words? We've given the other mayors as well. Thank you very much. Mayor Blas.
Thank you. And to all you senators that are still here, thank you very much for still sitting back to listen to us. I know this concern with the Mayor's Council is nothing but upfront to our community. So with all due respect, I would like to just say this. I'm only asking all of you to please consider that the budget that we got is so tight, and I hear it is not just at this time, but back then, that we are really holding tight on our budget. We are cutting down. And like I said, I don't want to repeat again that, the 600,000 that we got from, we don't have it yet. We hope that will come for the next 2 quarters. Just to give you one example, on the Tourist Attraction Fund, they hold that money, they freeze that money, but they still call me to restore some of the Tumon area and up to Tamuning. As you can see now, I was just hoping that one of you, Senator, or any of the tourist industry that passing by there to stop and find out, who are working on this. They thought it's Public Works, but no. It was the Tamuning, Tumon, Harmon, Mayor's Office maintenance that are there, because we were asked by ZVB to please help them beautify that, because that's the center attraction for the tourists. Yet, that $33,000 that I had, I'm not using it because for a reason, been justified to put it on reserve. But with all due respect, please, I know and I heard that we are not being caught, but I want to make sure 100% that please help us. We're helping the community up front. We go out there and remove a dead dog right down in Hotel Street. Can we tell GBB that no, we don't have the money yet up front? No, that's not our job. Our job is to make sure that our place will be beautified, and we are doing that now. So please, again, I'm sorry, I don't want to be off track, but I was on a meeting, but when they called me to come down here to testify, and thank you, Senator. Of course, he's my senator from Tamuning. Thank you very much for making sure that I just give out a short, brief testimony. And again, thank you very much to all of you senators that are still back here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, my mayor. Now, Senator Pangilinan, you recognize.
Thank you very much, and I'll be brief also. The hour is getting late. I just want the mayors to know that I certainly support retaining the funding, and the challenge before this body is to find where we're going to find those resources given the financial conditions, and I've been working on that, and I think we may have that resolved. I'll present an amendment at the appropriate time of where we're going to get that funding. The other thing is I do have an amendment also. When I saw that we had an opportunity to make this change, I have prepared an amendment to delete that section of the Public Law 28150 that requires GVB approval, and that it gives them $35,000 to hire somebody to oversee you. I'm going to keep the provisions that you coordinate with them on the beautification, because I don't think any of you have any problems doing that whatsoever. I think you do want to have a cohesive beautification plan, for the main highways and so forth, so that we do have a theme. But to have them approved by GVB and the releases have to come, it's like you guys reporting to Mr. Bloss. I mean, nothing that there's anything wrong with Mr. Bloss, but you just don't report to him. You have a position of responsibility and authority vested in you by the people of Guam and your community, not by GVB and so forth. So I will present the amendment to delete that, and which would allow you, and for the record, the appropriation under that section is for $727,385, and we'll keep that intact too. So, and I want to thank my mayor. He keeps me on the Municipal Planning Council, and I know exactly what you have to respond to as a member of the Municipal Planning Council in Barragata for almost 20 years now, 15, 20 years. So I know what you face every day, and I know that when the resources when we had the resources, you did more, and when you don't have the resources, you even try to do more. And I don't think the services have deteriorated. I think you just have worked harder, and I don't think that's where we want to cut the resources. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Pangilinan. Mayors, Vice. Did you want to say something? Yeah, sure. Okay.
Just a feedback to the chairman, Senator Calvo. The idea, the thought of working on the citation, perhaps you might want to also include there that the fines remain in the community where the citation is issued, meaning to say that it does not go to the judicial fund to pay for the judicial center, because that is exactly what's happening with the Guam Police right now. Officers are out there providing citations. We want to have that authority to do such, but at the same time, we want to be able to see the fruits of our labor, so that we be able to see that it's coming back to our community, and the thought of getting the Municipal Planning Council involved in the process is just another avenue we'd like to venture into, so that we can also allow them that authority, because they are sworn council members, and mind you that they don't even get paid to this day, ever since they stopped it back in 6 years ago perhaps. So if we get our council members involved, in the process, which the litter citation allows that. So I think that it's going to work. I mean, to allow the mayor, vice mayor to be the only authorized authority to provide citations. We have our manpower strength, which is our council members in our municipal level. So perhaps we can get them involved in the process in terms of citation. If we can give the ordinary citizen out there the authority to enforce the handicap parking, so that's where we'd like to get our council members involved in the process, so that they can be of assistance in the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayors and Vice Mayor, thank you again for coming down here in a very short notice. Tomorrow we start back. We'll start with the Office of the Public Auditor, and then proceed to the Public Defender Service Corporation. With that, the Committee of the Whole will recess until 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.